with Simon just a little bit here with the baseball talk, but if he's got a few cricket references, perhaps.
Yeah, I'll just drop in a couple of cricket clangers, just to throw the conversation.
That'll be way over my
You're bloody
head.
recording now, aren't you? You just so unprofessional every time.
Well, you always try and find that one, and it don't always hit every time. But once in a blue moon, you get that
Zinger.
that perfect lead in where you don't really have to. Anyway, welcome back to the Appalachian Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host,
Rat.
Billy Riddle. With me, once again, the co-host, Simon. Beautiful day, isn't it?
It's in it, geezer. Certainly, it's called blimey, Governor. There's my here we down the cultural appropriation. I had something lined up for that. I was going to come up with something odd. What was it now? Slaughter. That's a bit of Gaelic for you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's out of my wheelhouse.
completely
I
out
don't
of
know what
mine
he said
too.
they're Gaelic. I'm not sure there.
Yeah, Scots, Welsh, Irish, little bit
Yeah.
of Gaelic. It's not a dead language, but it came pretty close to being one.
Yeah, okay, now I know what you're talking about. And then some people, there's a few places still left on the planet that strictly speak it just to keep
Oh
it.
yeah,
just to
absolutely.
preserve
North
it.
of Wales, certain parts of Western Scotland,
It's
lots
good-
of Ireland. Lots of Ireland do it. I mean, Ireland, it's their primary language, I believe.
It's probably a good assumption that you told me about all this stuff. I could be wrong. For some reason, the algorithms on social media feed me all this British crap these days. In the mix, I probably got a little more inebriated than I. But it was still a good show. There's still some really good stories in there. And Terrell, he really is a kid who shows a lot of acumen and a lot of brilliance and intelligence. Like he's very calculated. He's not he's not a dumb guy. I don't think he's going to be one of these pro athletes that you see out here that you find out,
Well, the
broke.
drive that he had to, get from the depths from a situation that he was in, which wasn't good. But Billy, you had an opportunity to run out that door with a $50,000 watch on your wrist.
I sure did. But if you think for a second I was outrunning the NFL defensive lineman, he would have given me a head start to the bottom of the steps.
He'd have still got you.
And it still got me before I got to the door, probably.
It would have been bad.
Yeah. It was a good time, a good show. I'm rooting for that kid this year. I'm going to be watching the Bengals games on Sunday just to see if catch a glimpse of him. How we are around here. But we got to do that show at the Burger Company. So thanks to Brian for all that. That's at 467 Franklin Street in Rocky Mount, of course, across from the Harvester and the Early End Pavilion. Food's always good in there. The drinks are always stout. You're always going to run into, every time you go in there, you're going to see somebody you know, which could be a good thing or bad. I look at it as a good thing. I think the whole point of going out to restaurants is seeing people out and
Yeah, it's part of the community. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
what it should be.
And we got a lot of good stuff coming up here with the Burger Company as well. Just next week, if you listen to the show, next week, our Spike Cohen event at the Early End Pavilion. It's going to be on Tuesday night, May 23rd. We got failed musician Joshua Grice and Kyle Forey playing music, and maybe they might bring a couple more up on with them. I don't know. I hadn't heard back. He's terrible at getting back to me. But they're definitely going to be playing music. Buddy's going to be there. He's going to have the food truck, so bring your appetite. There's going to be bartender down there serving beer. There's going to be a little bit of live music. Speaking of engagement, we're going to have a Q&A. So, everybody in this town, a lot of the focus is going to be on, just better ways to kind of strengthen up as a community and different ways to make these possibilities a reality. A lot of things we talk about on the show with the farming and the subsistence and all kind of interconnected and stuff. So that's going to be one of the big topics. So, all your American loving friends, all your farmers, anybody, bring a friend, come out, listen to music. The guy ran for president 2 years ago and got like 5 million votes, something 3 million, something ridiculous that I would never get, so it's coming third place. That's given the people who beat him. That's kind of sad, but it's the culture we live in.
There's so many punchlines on the back of that one, Billy.
So many, but Spike, he's a phenomenal dude. He's coming here. He's giving us our time. He's going to be hanging out in Franklin County. We want to show him a good time. So if everybody shows up, then we keep having these events. More of these people show up. We get more great ideas, more ways to learn. And it's going to definitely help our show out. So please show up there. It's going to be Tuesday the 23rd, and then the following day we're going to be recording a podcast with them up on the mountain. That's going to be a good time. You know, Melvin's Farm to Fork's going to be helping us out. Buddy's Barbecue is going to be helping us out. Foggy Ridge Cattle Company, Safe Side Tactical showing up. I think Henry Law is going to be. That's going to be a really good time. A big community thing. So I'm excited.
Now, I deliberately haven't followed. You said, "Oh, you need to follow Spike Cohen, see what he's all about." And I thought, well, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to find out myself. You know, because then you can get that preconception, and I don't want to have any preconceived ideas as to, you know, the brilliance of this chap and his just a different take on political matters. So I haven't followed him, and I'm very intrigued. So my experience is going to be quite raw.
Fair enough. It's going to be a good time. I don't really know how the show is going to go. I think we're going to kind of do a panel thing. You know, where you and me, of course, and Spike will be there the entire time, you know, other than, you know, bathroom breaks or whatever the case may be, because it might go long. I'm hoping Henry will jump in on the show for a bit. Chris Montgomery might jump in on the show for a bit. Amos will probably jump on the show for a while. Chip Slade, of course, being libertarian, will probably be on it for most of the time.
Have we got Brandon coming down from Floyd?
He may be. I
hope he is.
I've reached out to him, told him to save the date. So
okay.
Either or, it's going to be a good time. A big way to support us. Another good way to support us is patreon.com/GetOnTap, just $3 a month. You get most of our shows early. Our Patreon guys, I think we're going to have a show here in a few weeks, maybe at the Burger Company. I was going to talk to you about later with this musician coming in. He kind of is Appalachian roots kind of guy. Maybe our Patreon guys. You can go up there and sit in a private room with us and listen to that show. When anybody shows up, we'll buy you a beer or something. And we'll do that up there at the Burger Company upstairs. So that's for our Patreon people, patreon.com/GetOnTap. Good way to support us. Other ways, Venmo at GetOnTap. Cash App is the cash symbol, GetOnTap. And then at WB Riddle for PayPal. Every little bit helps. $1 here, $1 there, $20 here, $20, whatever. Shout out sponsorships. We'll take it all. But in the meantime, let's get to our...
You capitalist pig.
Well, look, I'm trying to... Look, this is fun, but it's also time-consuming, and if I want to keep having my fun and keep consuming time, I've got to kind of show my wife I'm making a little bit here, which we've had some good fringe benefits. We've met some great people, told some great stories. If that's all I've ever made, I would be happy with that, and I'll consider myself a success at this point in time. But while we're having fun, why not let's shout a few people out there, make a few bucks, and I'll better ourselves. That's what I'm all about. So I'm also trying to buy a new house. So for all y'all generous people out there, you can also give more than $3 at patreon.com/GetOnTap.
That's very interesting.
We're going to have a sweet studio down there. The back deck is a huge area for gatherings. It's an outdoor pavilion covered. We got seats, a TV out there. We can really host some shows down there. And I will have a soundproof podcast room underneath the house that we won't have to track up and down the stairs to get to and bother my wife. We just go through the kids' playroom. Boom, we're in there. No windows. Great sound. It'll be a nice little setup. So yeah, that's what Rich Y'all's goal is to get me in this life of luxury and the podcast in this nice, beautiful house so we can entertain folks.
Is it closer to Callaway or further away?
It's 5 minutes down the road from here, so it's not much of a difference.
Okay.
Not far at all. Anyway, so aside from all that, let's get to our show today. We're welcoming back a guest we had on about 6 months ago that was one of the most popular shows that we have done to date. Abe Naff, legendary Ferrum Baseball Coach, and he's also being joined by Carter Chitwood, who has turned into kind of one of our I don't know what Carter's role would be here, but he's our casual drop in and have a good conversation about sports guy. You know what I mean? Like we call on if we need somebody to kind of at least feed us good ideas about music, we'll bring in Josh Grice. But you're not a Josh Grice on sports. You know what you're talking about, Josh Grice. We bring him in because he tries so hard to fit in that he does know all these questions. But anyway, thanks for y'all for showing back up here. I saw Abe a couple weeks ago, right before we went to the beach, went to Destin, about coming on. We were up there at the Mill Mountain Zoo. That was such a what's a word to describe the Mill Mountain Zoo? Depressing. I wish it was better. I mean, no disrespect to the people who work up there and care for the animals and stuff, but all the poor animals up there just look miserable. Most of them don't have a mate or anything like that.
There's a very funny sign on one of the doors up there, and it's about mating animals and staff only or something. And it just had me in tears. because it was only the staff were allowed in for mating or something like that. So, I mean, and that just tickled me, but I believe it's still up there, and I just got a good laugh out of it.
It could be. And there's just not a lot to look at, and half the stuff up there you can go outside and see if you live in a rural area, like black bears and foxes.
Well, they got a few things up there.
Yeah, they got a couple of, like a lynx and a couple of cats. Nothing bigger.
I'm not even sure I knew it was still open.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun for the kids at the end of the day, but...
Oh, the kids love it. Young kids will love it. I mean, it's made for them.
Natural Bridge is probably a good place to go, because I think if they ride through the safari and the animals stick their heads through the car and stuff like that.
We had a bloody zebra going to take his head through the car. Those things are vicious as rattlesnakes.
Really?
They are mean as hell. Do not mess with a zebra.
What makes them so ornery?
I've got no idea.
Probably having to run from tigers and shit.
I'm not quite sure. I saw footage of a zebra. We call them zebras in the UK, but for now I'm going to call it a zebra because I know you'll be ruthless. Get hold of a lioness and gave her a hard time. Yeah. I mean, was on her back, biting down on her neck. Oh, yeah. They are fierce.
Yeah,
Don't mess with them.
They're like horses who are in jail. That's what they look like. They look like prisoner horses. But horses, like I said, they get little sugar snacks and hay and stuff like that. They got it made over here. Zebras, not them. They in the bush. They for real over there.
No.
It's like in water buffalo and stuff over there. You don't mess with them. Hippos, anything over there in Africa is probably the meanest thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Zebra looks more like he's in the bush.
Yeah.
Mean as a rattlesnake. And those water buffalo are one of the most dangerous animals on the planet.
They are.
Yeah. Don't think they won't get you. And they can move a lot quicker. Actually, the hippo, believe it or not, is the deadliest animal in Africa.
Now, by what standards? By the amount of people killed per year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The hippo by far.
Yeah, but if you get killed by a hippo, you're probably just sitting around thinking, damn it. I mean, this is just kind of stupid. But if you got, but a lion, that's, I don't know. A lion you would think, by statistics, yeah, but
no,
still, I would rather dance with a hippo than I would a lion. Because there's no chance with a lion. At least with a hippo.
No, there's no chance with a hippo. Those things.
You can't sidestep them?
Hell no.
Like you do a bull? I mean, think how big they are.
They are massive and nimble. And you've seen the size of their tusks. It's game over. Don't mess with a hippo, folks. That's all I can tell you.
Well,
and you can take that whichever way you want to.
Well, that's the one good thing I like about living in this part of the world. Like, we don't have it too crazy. Most of the bears don't get too big. The wild cats don't get too big. The snakes don't get too big. We got the seasons. Hurricanes don't really hit here. Tornadoes are kind of weak. Earthquakes are mountable. I mean, what a great place. Anyway. Yeah, Abe, we got off topic there for a second talking about
just
animals.
Another tangent. Ping,
but
off we went.
Just a rabbit hole.
How you been doing since the last time we had you on the show?
Well, all right. Thank you for having me back, and everything's going good. Staying busy. Did a lot of hunting. Not much luck, but did a lot.
Now, what are you hunting?
Deer and bear every once in a while, and turkeys.
Right. We've got lots of those in Callaway.
Well, that's why they call it hunting and not killing.
Right. That's right.
Fishing and catching, right?
Right.
I don't go
Exactly.
fishing. I don't go fishing. I go catching.
We
Speaking of catching and killing, did you rid yourself of your coyote problem you had?
Oh, man. That was so comical. Thank the Lord my wife didn't have a phone on her. Because I was running down my driveway. It's a gravel driveway. It's a long one. Barefoot, in a pair of boxer shorts with an AR-15 trying to whack this.
Oh, my Lord.
And the clearest shot I got was about 200 yards. And I couldn't take the perfect shot because my in-laws' house was just over the brow. I mean, it would have been a very irresponsible shot. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Especially with those high-velocity rounds. I mean, they're pinging out of that muzzle. So I couldn't do it. So the second best shot, I fluffed. Moving coyote at 200 yards, barefoot, in your underwear. Don't get the image, folks. It wasn't pretty.
No visuals.
And my language was actually, it was nearly as bad as Billy's from the last podcast, which was just simply appalling.
What's that?
Your language.
Why are you going there?
I thought, why not?
Should we go back and count up all the ones over the years?
Uh-oh.
Or all the episodes?
I did start off on a good one.
Yeah. Very good one. Or we could release the original.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Now, I'm actually raising some quail and some chucker partridge.
Are you having any luck with that?
So I've done quail in the past for several years, and they're very, because they're such a small bird from the 1 day olds that you get. They're very sensitive to temperature, and their success rate is, if you get it wrong, can be awful. The chucker is a bit more hardy, but we went out with chucker and quail, and it was like the quail, when they jump and do their thing, they're a bit like a Harrier jump jet, the AV-8B, and off they go. The chucker partridge is a bit like a C-130 Hercules, and I felt, and it was almost too easy to knock them out the sky. And at that point, I thought, is that really sporting? I don't know. But yeah, I have a lot of fun. I mean, bird shooting is great. I love the shotgun.
Oh, we grew up quail hunting, and Callaway was a great place for quail.
There's still a covey actually up round the back of our way, but what's happened there is fescue as a grass. It doesn't clump.
You think it's some fescue in Franklin County?
Oh, hell yeah. But the fescue grass doesn't clump like the Virginia native grasses. And that's where they seek cover. So with the amount of fescue that we have here, which is the predominant pasture crop, we're kind of eliminating a habitat for bobwhites. And grouse. I had grouse. I had woodcock a couple of years ago.
You need to spend your time on the grouse. They're almost extinct in this part of the state. Used to be the foothills of the Blue Ridge was a great habitat for grouse, and
I wonder what's done that. What's impacted that?
Well, there's one theory that the avian flu, bird flu, got them, but the habitat is still there. Where you live, the foothills of the Blue Ridge is just unbelievable grouse habitat. But they can't find a way to stock them because they can't catch them in other parts of the country.
They're very difficult to breed as well. I mean, I was looking into that actually. It's funny you should bring the grouse up. I was looking into breeding grouse to release, but breeding pairs cost a bloody fortune. And I don't know why I didn't pursue it further. But, hey, it was one of those things. It's a shame. I mean, grouse are in the upper uplands. And they still are, on the county line. They're certainly up there in Highland. They're certainly on the peaks. They're in there, but they are not prevalent at all. But the funny thing I saw it was going back 2 years now, maybe 3, was woodcock came in. And whilst I was deer hunting at night. Is that legal?
Not usually.
Uh-oh. Let's edit, perhaps. Anyway, so I kicked up a couple of woodcock, and they surprised the crap out of me because I wasn't expecting to kick them up. But nonetheless, woodcock do pass through here as well. So hey, that's another game bird that's very, very difficult to shoot. They're a tough one.
And the snipe, that's a tough one to hunt.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one to catch.
Yeah.
I can't wait to take my daughter snipe hunting. You ever been snipe hunting, Simon?
Yeah, back in the UK, though.
Oh, wow. What do y'all call it over there? I can't wait to hear.
Snipe.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Think of that. Yeah, and that's a very, very fast, low-flying bird. I mean, there's quite a few people have been shot because of the fact that they stay low and,
Well, Billy, maybe he needs to go on a snipe hunt with you.
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing it quite right over there in England.
It doesn't sound like it.
No.
I know. My twin brother, who thankfully now lives in New Zealand, he accidentally, or his syndicate accidentally shot one of the pheasant beaters on a pheasant shoot. Oops.
Who did he shoot?
The guys that run the line and they beat the pheasants out. And
so he Dick Cheney'd somebody.
Absolutely, that's exactly what happened.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was just a few pellets up, and but nonetheless, being shot with.
I think we need to take you proper snipe hunting. No, snipe hunting in the UK where you're shooting low to the ground. That's not how we do it here in Appalachia. I think we got a better way to take you. We'll go at night.
Yeah, very challenging. He needs to go.
You think he's up for it?
I think he'd be great.
I don't trust any of the men in this room right now because I got a funny feeling something bad is about to happen.
No, nothing bad to happen at all. We'll take you. We'll go up there sometime. And y'all got about 900 acres or so up there, don't you? Abe, at the Naff cabin. I said we could probably find him a spot in the middle of all that and find him a good snipe.
They hard to come by.
They are.
You got to work for them.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had them over here.
And the sport over here is you don't shoot them either. You have to get somebody to chase them into a bag.
What?
Yes. That's the sport.
Oh, you bloody heathens!
Yeah. So we'll do it. We'll get you up there on the mountainside somewhere. We'll take you to a good snipe nest. And
you got to go and catch him with a net.
Yeah, not a net, like a burlap sack kind of deal. Like a sack, like a knapsack, something like that.
I've got a feeling I'm about to be set up by you three.
I don't think so. I think you're going to
get him a good paper bag from Kroger.
Well, that'll work too.
It's solid.
Well, they have paper bags anymore up there. The plastic one
you have to ask for them.
The plastic one ain't going to work, but the paper ones will
Not with
work.
the snipe we have.
You don't think so?
No, it won't. The plastic bag won't hold.
No.
I don't even know if Simon's can man enough to hold it. We'll see. We'll take him up there and see what he's got.
You guys are up to something, and I still don't know what it is, but I'll find out eventually. I'll be the butt of someone's joke somewhere.
Abe, the last time you were here, we had a really good conversation. I sat there and I listened back to it here a couple days ago because I kind of wanted to kind of remember what we talked about. And I know we went over a lot of the guys that came out of Ferrum County and played for you. We touched on a few of the other big name people. One of them we did touch on a little bit, and I guess we've had some time. I don't know if you paid much attention, but I know Carter has with Nick Roberts, and I try and save some of the highlights that Twitter shares out from him. They're
on fire.
They're raving about him right now.
He was on
a chance to
fire.
keep up much?
I saw Keith yesterday, and he's doing well. And I saw a little video on him. Really looks good, throwing hard, high 90s, good movement. He's with a pitcher strong team, and trades aren't bad. Trades are good. They can jumpstart a career, and I think Nicholas will have a lot of opportunities to get to the big leagues, and it might not be with the Dodgers. It doesn't matter who you're with, as long as you get there. And then
when
see
do you
how long you can
anticipate?
stay.
How long do you anticipate he gets that break? Because he's on fire at the minute.
Well, it's just you never know. Somebody could get injured tomorrow, and he'd be called up, or they're the experts at it, and they want to make sure he can have success when he gets there, so you don't take a step back.
How does this happen? I'm not familiar with. If he's with the Dodgers now, what is his position with them? He's kind of in training.
Well, he's at AAA, which is the highest level. That's the next step to the big leagues. And in AAA, you're facing players coming down and players going up. So you're facing major league hitters.
Right.
And he's getting major league hitters out. And
But effectively, is he a free agent?
No.
Within, so the Dodgers would have first choice if there was an injury or.
Oh, yeah, he's with the
Dodgers own his rights.
Right.
So if he's ever going to move up, he will stay in the Dodgers organization all the way to the top unless they decide to trade him away. But yeah, if he's going to go to the major leagues under the Dodgers contract, he'll be for the Dodgers, nobody else.
And that's what you call a homegrown
Yeah.
prospect. He's signed with the Dodgers, and he's still with the Dodgers.
Right.
But the trading deadline will be end of July, and if he's still healthy and being productive like that. And he may be traded or might be up with the Dodgers.
Would you say that's in his interest to stay with the Dodgers?
If he gets a chance in the big leagues. But see, now, once they become free agents in a Dodger organization, they got plenty of money. They go buy one, and they'll rent one. If they're in contention, they may rent one for a month.
It can be that ruthless.
Oh, yeah. And you just got to be prepared when that break comes and be mentally ready, physically ready to take advantage of that opportunity. And right now, Nicholas is doing outstanding. And, we all pull for him. He's such a great guy. But he's so big and throwing so hard. I mean,
strong.
The video I saw yesterday, he just totally dominated.
He's throwing it by people like it ain't nothing.
That's a difference. And, that's major league hitters that he's facing. And
he's setting them down really low whip, really low ERA. Strikeout to walk ratio was phenomenal.
He's got 20. I think he's got 27 strikeouts and 17 innings pitched. 2.55 ERA, like 5 or 6 saves right now,
and only like 3 or 4 walks.
Yeah, I mean,
he hadn't given up a run and not post state stuff like that for a long time.
Yeah, I did that at high school baseball game the other day. Don't remind me.
Well, when you ask Simon would it be in his best interest to stay with the Dodgers, well, at the end of the day, ultimately he's under contract with them, so until that contract has expired and they offer him something else or another team offers him, like they could send him anywhere. It wouldn't matter. If they say, well, the Braves really need a pitcher right now, they're going to send us a high round draft pick next year and they'll ship him off to Gwinnett and he'll play for the Braves or into Atlanta.
But at that point, he's still under the Dodgers.
No, at that point in time, he's now under the Braves. And baseball's really finicky about their contracts, right? I mean, there's no trade clauses in there, and then you can waive them. But if you get here, your contract may be this or this or this, or at the end of the season, the contract might expire, and then you're free to go. So he might get traded from the Dodgers to Atlanta at the end of the season, and his Dodger contract might be up. So his Atlanta contract will be up at the end of the season as well. So he might start off the next year in Chicago.
I mean, I get it in that respect. The incentive is always to excel. But as a professional sportsman, that's what you should be doing anyway.
Right, but the young players are locked in. I don't know all the rules anymore or whatever, but I think it's 6 years before they can become a free agent. And
it's more complex than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholas is doing exactly what he's supposed to do, staying healthy, mentally prepared, and producing. All potential does is get your butt beat. You got to produce. We got a lot of potential, but if you don't produce, you lose. And Nicholas is he's gone through the ups and downs, and baseball is so finicky, but he's on a roll right now.
He said he picked up a new coach that was helping him with a slightly different technique. That was on his last show. And again, I don't necessarily appreciate the intricacies of what he was talking about, but I understand, that it's all about the technique. And I still haven't got the understanding of the strategery of the game, right? And I would probably enjoy it more if I understood the strategy behind the game.
Well, there's probably a ton of people out there can throw 94, 95, 96, but about placing it in the right spot with the right batters, it's kind of like a chess game. That's kind of one thing I want to talk about this show too, is what y'all's thoughts on the new baseball rules are with the clocks and all this kind of stuff, and speeding up the game and putting a runner on second base in extra innings, that kind of stuff right there. I'm more of a baseball purist. I think, there's some things in the world you just don't mess with. I don't think there's no way to have a tie in baseball, and you shouldn't impede that. I think you let them play out no matter how. That's the beautiful part about the game. That's what makes it so much different than everything else. And the pitch clock too. I don't know. I think when it gets down to those late inning battles, and you got a great relief pitcher or a great closing pitcher, or even a great starter, it's down to the 7th inning, it's in the playoffs. You got a great batter up there that stared down that whole. But what are y'all's thoughts? I mean, I'm just.
Oh, I don't like the changes, especially the pitch rule. Just like you said, it's a tight ball game. You're in the 8th or ninth, and that pitcher likes to sit out there and hold the ball for a little bit, shake his head 4 or 5 times, and get the hitter thinking. You know?
Oh, it's psychological. Absolutely. Get in his head.
But now it's catch it and throw it. I mean, it's
that's a production line.
But if you're in a hurry, stay at the house. You know, they don't need to rush baseball. I mean, but the thing about it is money. They have sponsorships for a 2.5-hour game instead of a 3-hour and 15-minute game, 3.5 hour. And they did that with college baseball to help ESPN. And it's just some things you shouldn't mess with. Now, it's a balk if you throw it to first base 3 times. Well, what's the guy going to do? I mean, stolen bases are going sky high.
Right.
And leave it alone, you know. Abner had it figured out a long time ago. It's a pretty good game, but they got messing with it.
Yeah, it might not. It's probably an unpopular opinion. I'm not a huge fan of the interleague stuff either. I mean, I like it very minimal, but I guess nowadays they're just saturated with it. It's like every single week you got interleague games going on. Like I think it was really cool when you did it right in the middle of the season, the summertime, when kind of sports got into a lull. And it's like, all right, it's a dog days of summer, but now, you know, the Yankees are going to play the Mets. Now, you get those rivalries in once a year and maybe a couple other ones, but nowadays they play so it's probably like 30 or 40 games, I guess they'll play. I like that when it was like 6 to 12. That way, really? I hadn't really paid much
But
attention.
the Cubs should play the White Sox, stuff like that, but they don't need to.
Yeah, the Cubs playing down in, Tampa. And that just doesn't make it, a few a year. And actually, because this shows how little I've paid attention to lately because how much it irritates me, but is the DH in the National League now?
I think so.
Huh.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is.
With what they've changed, it just took away the purest of baseball. I mean, it took away the managerial chess matches.
So what is this, the new rule that you guys are talking about the pitch? As soon as he receives the ball, he's got to...
What was it, 20 seconds?
20 or 25.
So they're bringing in like an NFL delay of game.
Oh, it's a strike or a ball.
Deemed it's a infraction zone. Yeah. If the hitter's not in the box, it's a strike. If the pitcher's not ready, it's a ball.
If a hitter's tightened his batting gloves for the 15th time,
right,
it might be his fault.
I mean, I get the shenanigans behind the psychological getting someone's head, but ESPN and their sponsors shouldn't be running how the game is played.
Well, it's not as much ESPN as it is just the sponsorship money.
Exactly.
It's the almighty dollar that is instituting a lot of this stuff. It's you take that, the no shift rule, the
the DH is now in the National League.
The international
as of 2022
tie rule at the end of the game, and all that stuff. Just we're not playing backyard slow pitch softball and things. We're playing Major League Baseball. That's the greatest game on earth. And
instant replay, the managers don't get upset much anymore.
That used to be a big part of the game.
Absolutely, but the umpires were so bad they need instant replay.
I would have to say,
I wish they'd have had it in Division III baseball years ago.
I bet you the ejection percentages went up this year from what I've seen from spring training through to now with the pitch issues and the pitch clock and the balls and strikes they're calling. I mean, some of it is just ridiculous that I've seen. I mean, awful.
In the springtime, the temperature hadn't, July and August when they really get thrown out.
Right.
I was never a big fan of when instant replay was introduced to any professional sport across the board.
Right.
If you had sufficient umpires or your linesmen were given enough authority to influence the referee with a decision, if they were allowed to. Because in many situations, a linesman couldn't interfere with, I'm talking about soccer, football, rugby, and such. So, and then you would play to the referee, and that can be very entertaining because if you do have a poor referee and you click onto it very quickly, it can make a significant difference to the game.
You do the same thing in baseball.
Absolutely.
You can pitch to the umpire and play to the umpires.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
so
or you can do the
it's
exact opposite.
common. So it's common throughout sport.
Yeah.
So I was never a fan of the instant replay rule, because then you're dealing with, fractions of seconds that, to the human eye, you kind of think, well, actually, that was safe. Well, now you break it down to fractions of seconds, and the human eye can be very deceived, and that call can get turned. And it's
It's a
perception.
replay. It kills so much of the momentum.
Yes, it
momentum,
does.
It kills so much.
They
of the
have to
momentum.
do it much quicker than they do, and the momentum is a problem.
Yeah, I'm not. And you were kind of asking about the differences in the American League and the National League. It used to be more. It used to be right down the middle. The only time that you would ever see a National League and an American League, players play against each other would be the All-Star Game or the World Series. Otherwise, the New York Mets never played the New York Yankees. The Chicago Cubs never played the Chicago White Sox. San Francisco never played Oakland unless they were in the World Series. And then they introduced and the interleague play. And the major difference, I guess, the biggest difference in the leagues is the National League does not have the designated hitter rule, where the American League does. So basically that means the pitchers are typically the worst batters on the team. And it's more times than it's just an automatic out. So the American League has a rule where your pitcher doesn't have to hit. You can send in somebody else. You can have some big fat dude who don't run the bases well, can't play in the outfield for nothing, but he can knock the out of the ball, and he'll come up and bat for the pitcher. In the National League, the pitchers bat. So it's more of a strategy. Pitchers got to know how to bunt. They got to know maybe how to get a hit and run. They got to be more in tune to the game. So when they played in the World Series, it still was two different kinds of styles of baseball, two different
I had no
approaches to the game.
I had no idea that was the case.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm kind of thinking, if you're pitching, you're on the team, you need to be batting. And that would be my perspective on that.
Well, that would cut down on pitching inside. It's less people hitting the National League than it is American League.
Yeah.
Because if that pitcher hits someone, and then he has to hit, that'll slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
It might, mightn't it?
But then plus, in the National League, so it's so much more. It was so much more calculated. So you have to think, if you pull a pitcher out of the game and put a new pitcher in, then you got to think, well, the next time this pitcher's turn is up to bat, well, is this relief pitcher going to bat? We're going to have to bring in a pinch hitter and bring in another relief pitcher after that. So you're having to think two or three things. When in the American League, it's just like, he'll go up to the plate and hit. You can interchange pitchers all the time. There's not a lot of thinking to it. But in the National League, you have to consider where that pitcher's batting.
That's more of a game of chess.
It's much more of a game of
yeah.
chess. And then they've recently just taken that away from it too. Because if that's not part of the game and the National League has designated hitter, then there really is no difference. At this point in time, the Major League Baseball should just break the entire league down and redraw the lines for everything. Like the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and somebody else being a division up north, the Orioles, the Braves,
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
the Braves and
Philly.
the Florida teams, and probably the DC would probably all be in the. I mean, what's the point? I mean, every league's the same. There's no real. It doesn't make sense geographically anymore. So.
Yeah, I had no idea of the complexity there. None whatsoever. I'm very naive to that. Interesting. I'm learning something new, and quite a lot today.
I mean, there's a few good things that baseball does, but I do like when they go to Iowa and they play the game out there at the Field of Dreams stuff. I think that's pretty good. I think they played on a military base a couple years ago. The Braves did or something. They ought to do stuff like that more often. Kind of like I always think that basketball and NFL teams, they should be coming to Blacksburg and Roanoke to play preseason. NHL teams play preseason games here. Look, those people, I don't know. I guess they make more money in a preseason game playing in New York City selling $15 beers than they would making coming to Roanoke. But you would think you would draw more fans to the league. You'd get more TV deals, stuff like that. So, same kind of deal.
Well, that's a few changes in baseball. But look what's happening in college athletics. The NIL, the portal. That's a tough situation.
That's something else I want to talk about with you. I wanted to, because I think we missed on the last show too, if I'm not mistaken. Because you being a college coach and seeing how this is all. I mean, what do you make of it? How do you break it down? Because there's so many variables and so many questions. And
Well, I have mixed feelings about it. I can understand at the higher levels, those great athletes generating a tremendous amount of money for the universities, but you look at it on one side of getting a free education, but they are drawing a lot of money, and I'm not really against them getting paid, but the NCAA dropped the ball. They were not ready for the decision that Congress made, and it's worse than any league there is. The NFL has more rules than the NCAA on money, and truly, there's no longer an amateur athlete in the NCAA. A Division III athlete can get NIL money, and
really,
oh yeah. Now but a Division III athlete would probably get what it was intended to do is you have an ad for you do a commercial for Dairy Queen, you get free hamburgers or something, or
yeah,
it was supposed to be set up like if they use your name, image, or likeness at a car dealership, you could be compensated with a car. You wouldn't have a gymnast at LSU making over $3 million. Right, but the thing is that's happening is it's great for the women athletes. Women's basketball player could stay in college and probably make more money than going to the WNBA because they don't pay very well. And I hope some of you got to watch Virginia Tech's women play, and it was so exciting. And
they did a great job.
The big center's coming back, and she was going to be the 10th pick,
in the draft.
And I don't know the facts, but she probably
that's another sport.
Did the math.
If that's another sport, I don't really watch. I don't pay much attention to. I find it incredibly boring, and I don't think it's their fault. I think let's be realistic about women's basketball and lower the rim down 1.5 feet or so, and let them girls get in there and be able to dunk as well, and then it'll be a whole lot more exciting. Then you have people wanting to tune in and go watch them because fundamentally they're probably better than the NBA. I mean, as far as passing and because you have to, because you can't just go up there and dunk all day long. But it goes back to baseball. It goes back to the pitch count. It's all about speeding everything up. It's all about the highlights and stuff.
Now you're talking about the pro women's basketball.
Yeah, pro women's basketball, or even college. Lower the rim a little bit, and let them be able to dunk a little bit, and it probably would be a whole lot more exciting.
But boy, that Virginia Tech team was really exciting.
I was going to say, you go back and watch them, and just their skill level and their cohesiveness as a team. The things they did, they were phenomenal. There's 2 or 3 girls that can shoot the lights out of it.
They were beating LSU by 9 points going into the fourth quarter, and LSU wins the national championship. But all right, with the portal, LSU, their coach got there one year and brought in 9 different players from the portal. LSU in the colleges that didn't know what was going on with NIL, they were more prepared for it than any school in the country. And most of the Southeastern Conference schools were right behind them with Texas A&M and whoever. But LSU had it figured out. Their baseball program is in the top 3 in the country, and they brought in 12 or 13 new players off the portal. I was talking about college baseball before I forget. Gilmore's having a great year.
Yes.
I think he's in the top 10 in the country. They play tonight on TV.
Really? They're back at it again?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Coastal's got a squad.
We'll be looking forward to that. Got a chance to go to Omaha then, huh?
Oh, yeah. If we finish strong, Gary can get them. He gets them playing good at the end, and that's what it's all about.
I don't know, Tom, and you weren't here for the last episode. You might not even know this, but Gary Gilmore, he played here at Franklin County High School with Abe back in the day. A really good baseball player. Now he's a coach at Coastal Carolina University down in Myrtle Beach.
That's South Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now Coastal Carolina is 20 years ago was probably on par with Radford in all of Seriously, on par with Radford up the road and all the sports. I mean, they were a Division I school barely. You know, they competed, they played, but now I think they've had a top 25 team in college football. I don't know about basketball, but their baseball team won a national championship a few years ago. You're talking about just a small, like not big conference, should have never been there kind of deal.
Bit like Wrexham.
And won it all. And this guy, you know, he's from Frank County. He's their coach. I mean, he done the impossible. Actually, I was listening to last episode. I sent that text message out of a quote Abe said. He said, you know, last time he had to go into LSU and win 2 out of 3 games. He said that's about like Callaway having to go to Snow Creek and win 2 out of 3 games. I showed that quote with a couple of my buddies. Actually, Jake and Hunter in that text message group. We got a boy on there that played baseball at Snow Creek too. Adam Grindstaff, you probably know him too. Yeah. He's a banker now. He wasted talent. Anyway, he's going to be there at their event in a couple weeks. I love Al.
But Gary built the program when he got there. They didn't have dugouts, and now he's playing in a $15 million stadium and got their own chef and weight room
and as won a national title. Talking about a small school comparable to Radford and Myrtle Beach, beating the University of Texas, Ohio State's, Southern California's, UCLA's of the world.
But no one goes into LSU and wins 2 out of 3. No one. The Yankees will struggle.
I spent many years working in Louisiana, and I know the following of LSU fans.
They take it for
real. And it's a religion.
Yes.
And you know, you admire it in one respect, but then because they are so successful, you want them to fail.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
I
mean, it's a bit of a dirty trick, and it's not very Christian of me to do that. But it's just like they're so bloody successful. It's a bit like Bama, you know. It's just like, I love the way.
Don't talk about Bama.
Okay, all
right.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide. So I know someone's going to be listening.
Is he being for real?
Absolutely.
You're being for real.
I love Alabama.
I was just in Alabama, driving back from Virginia or Florida, and going through the state. I couldn't help but ask myself, is there just one thing about this place that has just one redeeming quality? Just one thing in Alabama. Just give me something. Give me something. And I couldn't find it. Just all the way up and down the road. And Alabama is the kind of place these slimy bastards will put up road work ahead signs on the interstate, right? Road work ahead, fines doubled, road work ahead. And then they'll set out cones for 16 miles and drive it down to one lane, and you will not see one piece of equipment. One piece of equipment out there, no road work.
Just a speed trap.
Just 16 miles of cones.
Well, they're waiting for the football season to start.
I don't know what they're waiting for, but we had it happen this week. I go down there, I'm like, we come up on it, it said one lane ahead, we all jump in the left lane, get up there, nothing. I'm just 2 miles of cones and not one piece of equipment out there anywhere to be found.
But you know, the college football, they do deliver. Same with LSU,
Absolutely.
They deliver. And it's exciting. I mean, and this is a layman, I don't particularly follow those sports in any particular, with any particular passion, but I do love to see Bama win. I love to see LSU lose. Yeah. And support the underdog. I love supporting the underdog because
that's why CCU is such a Coastal Carolina. That's why they're such a good.
What Gary did was unbelievable. It probably never happened again. It never happened before, and he did
just the right place at the right time.
He got it done, and we were all staying up watching it 1 o'clock in the morning. But it was just awesome. So happy for him, and
it was about like probably equivalent to Don Haskins winning it, and what year did he win it? The college national basketball, 69,
68, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, that was kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean, they're like back in it was Texas Western. Now it's UTEP. I mean, they're just a bomb barrel school in El Paso, Texas, and but coach had the foresight and the genius idea. Hey, we got 5 black guys here. Let's throw them on the court at the same time, and they're beating Kentucky and everybody because nobody else had white people out there. They put 5 black dudes on the court and won it all, and then completely revolutionized the game after that. I mean, it just completely turned. that was kind of the same thing. Like nobody, they came out of nowhere. Gary Gilmore and them came out of nowhere. Like it's to have something like that around here. That's just another person from this area that's done.
You know, I'm going to 2 days on here a little bit. You know, you take Gary and Abe, they're both cut from the same cloth. They come out of the same era at Franklin County. Not saying anything about, not necessarily because it's Franklin County, but they had the same work ethic, the same mentality. And Abe did the same thing at Ferrum. He took the guys that nobody else wanted, that couldn't go anywhere else sometimes to play Division I or II. They came to Ferrum to play for Abe, and he got more out of them.
All right. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties.
I mean, I really want this done.
Okay.
And I'm going to do whatever I can. But both of them are my teammates, Gary Gilmore and Pee Wee Boyd. Both of those should be in the Virginia State Hall of Fame.
Amen. Yes, they should.
I mean, Pee Wee Boyd's got 3 national, NFL championship
Super Bowl
rings as a player, and 2 as
He's got 1 or 2 as a coach.
As a coach,
Yeah. I think he's got more than a coach. I thought he won one as a coach with San Francisco in the 90s, and then he won one with Seattle.
Yeah, he's got 1 or 2 as a coach.
So I think he's got 5.
he might
total.
have 5.
5 Super Bowl rings.
All right. Well, Gary, Pee Wee went to North Carolina A&T, but that doesn't matter. It's where you were born. And Gary won the national championship and has a unbelievable record. And
Where did Gary go to college at?
Ferrum.
Did he really?
He went to Ferrum. He's in Ferrum Hall of Fame.
Wow. I didn't realize he went to Ferrum.
Yeah.
Played ball there, too.
But then he may have ended up at Coastal Carolina. I'm not sure. You have to look that up, Carter.
But I was thinking about that today too, and yeah, we'll get on. We should get on because I can get on them on Twitter and start hassling them. I think you're right about both of those. Both of those should be on here.
And I think Paul Rafford should be in.
And that's a former guest of the show. If you've never heard, Paul Rafford's one of the best shows we've ever done. Phenomenal stories. You're absolutely right.
See, Billy's in it, and Coach Norton's in it. There's some other Ferrum people. Eric Owens should be in it.
I mean, doesn't their track record really speak for themselves, and the people that are putting forward these National Hall of Fame or Virginia Hall of Fame, shouldn't they be pursuing it? It shouldn't be really for the likes of the lowly Billy Riddles and Simon Winches to be going, you need to be looking at this.
Well, that's exactly how it works.
That's how it works. You have
That's
to do
insane, but their credentials speak far louder.
Yeah, but they probably don't know Pee Wee Boyd went to Frank County High School or has 3 Super Bowl championship rings.
Wow.
They should be.
Yeah, they should. Wouldn't you have
should
thought?
be looking at that. And I'm sure Gary is on the radar screen to be inducted. There's baseball coaches from the state of Virginia that are in that haven't done what Gary has accomplished. And they were both my teammates, and I'd like to see them both in.
He played at Coastal from 79, 78, hit 353, stole 69 bases in 90 games.
Wow.
As a leadoff hitter.
He could fly, and he could pitch.
Damn, that guy could move.
And he was really tough at Mary Elizabeth Park when he was 10 and 11. Virginia Office Supply. They were tough.
That's what they do. Get you, Gary, and Pee Wee sitting down here for a show. Now, that would be one you get all of Franklin County to tune into.
Oh, yeah.
That's one you could do at the damn rec park and have I bet the whole place would be filled up to come listen to that one.
Well, Pee Wee Boyd's one of the nicest guys you've ever met. He was a senior when I was a sophomore, and we were 0-7-3. We tied our first 3 football games because they were running away from Pee Wee, and he was making all the tackles. Then they started triple teaming him and whatever. But he never got down on us. We were just terrible, and he played hard, and he never belittled us because we weren't very good. And I just have so much respect for him.
He sounds like Jacob Gibson, although Jacob did about rip all of our heads off one night after losing to Amherst about 62-0.
All right, but when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame at the high school, Pete Wright inducted him. Well, Pete Wright has a NASCAR championship.
Yes.
With Terry Labonte. So that was 2 champions up there that had won it all in their sports.
Wow.
Franklin County residents, born. I mean, I was thinking about this coming up the road today. Think about our biggest names. Ron Hodges, where'd he go to college?
Appalachian
State.
State.
Pee Wee Board, North Carolina A&T. Where's that? Nicholas Robertson, JMU. Terrell Basham, Ohio University. Guys that come from around here, they don't get that Virginia Tech ride, that Bama ride, that LSU ride, that Tennessee. They don't get it. They don't.
They've got to work that much
harder.
harder.
They have to work that much harder, and then they still do. And they end up having all great, successful careers. And I feel like, and I'm so appreciative that we actually even got Nick to sit down and do a show with us. And not because I didn't think he wouldn't do it or anything like that, just because I see Nick he reminded me a lot about like Ron. Ron just don't like being bothered that much. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think if I tried to get Nick in 20 years, he probably
I disagree. Nick,
you think so?
I think Nick would do it when he's 80.
I would hope.
He's the nicest young man you'll ever meet. He's a great role model, and
he was very humble.
Very
humble.
Young people need heroes, and Nick Robinson would be
a great one.
He
one
fit
of
the
the
bill.
best
and
little people could ally.
That's the same as I look at Ron, just a very good person, very quiet. Not very eccentric. Because then you look at, Terrell, we had him on, and he's the direct opposite, just very eccentric.
Gregarious.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of it has to do with the sports they play. But at the same time, like I saw a lot of Ron and Nick when he was here. Just very reserved. Very quiet, very humbled.
Well, that's just how he was brought up, and I mean that's how he's always been.
But Ron and he was a big leaguer, but. And, the old saying is a big league play in a little league town. He never, you would have to ask Ron. He doesn't go around telling you I was a big leaguer.
No. And even if you ask him, he don't talk about it. I know. I have tried and tried.
And his sons were the same way. They were just hard-working, great players and very, very, very good people. And had a lot of Peggy, too, Peggy. And
now
they could raise some children.
Now, that's what everybody keeps telling me, like, everybody wants to hear Ron come on the show, and I would love to get Ron on the show. But what I tell everybody when they ask me about that, I say the person you want to get on this show is Peggy.
The story she could
Peggy
tell.
is the one you want to get on here because Peggy saw it all, and Peggy has probably watched more baseball than any human in my existence. Probably more than Abe, because
Alvin Hall.
You got a woman who had a husband and then 4 kids that played all the way up into college. She watched a lot of baseball.
Well, let me tell you a story about that. Billy was closing for the Mets. Okay, so we go up and watch him play, and Billy had a box, one of those nice things, and guy was walking me to it. I just talked to everybody. And I said, well, how long you been here? He said, I've been here a long time. And I said, well, I'm going to drop a name on you and see. He said, you remember Ron Hodges? Ron Hodges, Peggy? Said, they're the nicest guys I've ever been to met. Said, we love Ron Hodges. And I said, what a small world.
Yeah. And did Ron play before you or after you?
Come on now. He was way
before him.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that far
back.
back.
I was catching, and Ron would give me mitts.
That's right. Never mind. Because you were on the 77 team.
Yeah.
Okay, and he quit majors in 84. Okay, yeah. I was way off. Sorry about that, Abe. I didn't mean to.
I know I look pretty rough. What do you think, Carter?
Oh. Well, no, that's just a compliment to Ron. He looks pretty good still. I mean,
he does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looking strong every time I see him out.
Best you change those prescriptions on your glasses, old fruit.
Well, I'm going to go back to where I was at a little bit ago, talking about Gary and Abe. They talking about what Gary's done at Coastal Carolina. Abe did the same thing at Ferrum. They're taking these kids that maybe have nowhere else to go. Yeah, Gary has a little different situation at Coastal, being Division I, but they don't have all those kids on full rides. Out of a Division I baseball team, I think like 11 or 12 of them may be on full scholarship, if that. They have to split, some of them on quarter scholarship, some of them on half, some of them on none.
Well, yeah, because the women's water polo team.
Yeah, we're not going there. But, you got Abe at Ferrum who had no scholarships except for some kind of academic, had kids that come in there from Franklin County, Henry County, all over the state of Virginia, North Carolina. They came there because they didn't have anywhere else to go. They couldn't go to Tech. They couldn't go to UVA, Coastal. They couldn't go to these D1, D2 schools. So he got the best of the rest, and he made them into winning championship ball teams. And he could get more out of people than I've ever seen. I mean,
and good human beings, too, after the fact. You
after the fact. I mean, there's
not all of them are going to go pro in baseball, but
there are a lot of people that come through Ferrum College in his tenure there that would run through that wall for him.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you'll find others that may not have the same accolades to speak of him, but if you polled 100% of his former ball players, 98, 99% of them would run through that wall for him. And I was around a lot of them through the years, one for Pee Wee, my cousin, being assistant coach, and then when I was at Ferrum, I did a lot with him. I traveled with him some, and I've seen what he can do with those kids, and it's phenomenal, the way he's changed some of their lives. I mean, he took some of those kids that had nothing and gave them an opportunity to be somebody. And that's what it's all about. Baseball was just an avenue to get them somewhere else.
Yeah, Simon, you missed this on the first show, but back in the 92, 93, we're going to get to that here in a few minutes because I know you've been reached back out to by the college. But the 92, 93 team around here, that was as big as the Atlanta Braves because you had Billy Wagner and Eric Owens, who were both future major league players. Billy Wagner's up for the Hall of Fame this year. It really was for kids. It was the biggest team. And Ferrum, being a small D3 school up in the mountains, you know exactly where it's at, was going up and playing teams like UVA and Virginia Tech and beating them.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You're talking about guys. D1.
And these are kids that aren't getting the scholarships.
No money.
I mean, because Ferrum now is not a cheap college to go to.
No, we were in Division III where scholarships were not allowed. So no one we competed with at the Division III
so
level.
So these are the guys that really wanted it.
Oh, they pay to play.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah,
we
that's
had,
the difference.
Right, but we had some Division I transfers, like Riley Hodges went to VMI, and he was an All-American at Ferrum, and Bob Scarborough from Franklin County went to Tech and came. Division III baseball back in the 90s, late 80s and 90s, there's a tremendous difference, but the difference in baseball was not as wide as a difference in a Division I football team and a Division III football team, a Division I basketball team.
Right.
You run out of Billy Wagner against a Division I team, you got a good chance of beating them.
Right.
And, there's a young man that has a chance to be in Cooperstown, and I don't think there's many colleges in the state of Virginia that have had that. But,
now, we talked about him quite a bit, Simon, and once again, just to bring you up to speed, we've mentioned him before, but that's him right there. That's his book. Now, when he talks about other D1 prospects going to D1 schools and then transferring in, Billy wasn't that guy. I mean, I think he was probably, 5'7", 5'8"?
Yeah, he says he's 5'11", probably 5'9" at the most.
Still.
I saw him Saturday. He wasn't 5'11".
He hadn't grown since then.
And Simon, now mind you, now this guy, when he was a kid, now correct me if I'm wrong, Abe, you probably know the story better than me, but if I can remember, he's right-handed. He grew up right-handed. Grew up really rough too, kind of like Terrell did.
Mm-hmm.
Down where Terra's from in Tazewell County. Was a right-handed kid. Now I think he broke his right arm, and so he just started throwing, I guess, a tennis ball against a barn. And he broke it again, his right arm again. So he kept throwing a tennis ball against a barn with his left hand. Not even a natural lefty. And ended up getting so good that he became a Hall of Fame baseball pitcher left-handed at only 5'8" or 5'9" that could throw about 98 miles an hour.
Holy crap.
Probably, wouldn't it? I mean...
Oh, yeah, when he's,
and that's not a natural lefty.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's a small guy, but he had the biggest heart in America, and he's
now you can
one of the greatest.
You can double switch bat, which makes a little bit more sense, but throwing the ball left-handed is a whole different.
Very much so.
And
I was when I was at school. This is going back a long way. I was left-handed, but that was the devil's work. So I was forced to write right-handed at school through my infancy, and now I write right-handed predominantly, but a predominantly left-handed person.
The CIA.
So to be able to do that that's extremely difficult, and then to reach the levels of play,
Oh yeah,
being a non-right-handed that just blows my mind.
And being extremely undersized. You got to think, Nicholas, you saw him when he came here. He's what, 6'4"?
No, he's like 6'6",
something like
6'7".
that. I mean, and Nick at his size is not throwing probably as hard as Billy was, and Billy's what, 7 inches?
There is actually,
8
I want
inches?
to touch on that. There's something that you guys all mentioned, and I'll bring up one cricket expression, and that's it. Because I was a wicket keeper, so I was the guy behind the stumps playing cricket, catching the ball that the batsman missed from the bowler. So I had the gloves.
So you were essentially the catcher.
So I was a catcher with the pads.
Hold on, say that again. I was a catcher.
I was the wicket keeper, Billy. Piss off. But
I was going to break that up.
there would be... I know where you're going with that. There would be a bowler that I faced on one time and one time only. And he didn't look significantly quicker. The way the ball hit the wicket and came up to me wasn't anything different. But good Lord, could I feel the hardness of that bowler. I've never felt it coming through my gloved hand that hard. And he didn't look anything quicker than I'd faced previously. So that was about the hardness of the guy. And it didn't look quicker, but good Lord, it stung. Oh. And that to me is, how does that happen? Because it didn't look like it was quicker to me. And I'm looking at it coming down the barrel of a gun, right? So, I think I'd assess it fairly well. And to be able to take those bowlers on, great, you can make yourself look great, and you're catching this and diving here, rolling around. This guy put the fear of God in me. He wasn't any quicker through the eye.
Well,
but when it hit the glove, good Lord.
Same thing can be in baseball. I mean,
absolutely. That's what I'm trying to get that.
The perception of reality of the speed of the pitch can be an illusion somewhat based on the size of the pitcher. I mean, you take a Billy Wagner that's 5'8", 5'9", that's throwing 100. You take a Nicholas that's 6'6", that's throwing 95 to 96. Well, he's letting it go 2 or 3 more feet.
Yeah,
closer.
That may well be it. Actually, you've probably hit the nail on the head there.
But Billy and Nicholas, they both have movement.
Exactly,
and they can locate it. Billy would throw 98 to 100 or whatever, but his ball would jump at the cut of the grass, and it was almost uncatchable.
Some of your catchers would say that.
And unhittable. But I was a catcher in college, so I just wanted to say I did. I put the stuff on one time and caught Billy. I caught one pitch, and just so I could say I caught Billy Wagner, but it was different. I mean, it's just different.
Oh, I never played at Ferrum. If I had one regret of college, that's probably never having an opportunity to try, given a shot to play with Abe, for Abe.
I didn't cut you, did I?
No.
Okay, good.
But after Billy had left and was playing professional ball, he came back one winter, and Ferrum has a little indoor facility down at the fitness center, and he came in and was throwing and wanted to throw something before he left to go to spring training, and Riley Hodges was catching him. Well, I happened to be down there that day, and he said, hey, just get in the box and stand in there. I'm like, dude, I got no helmet, no nothing. And he's like, I'm just going to work on my all-speed pitches. They want me to start working on my breaking balls and stuff more, and they were trying to get his mechanics down in the professional ranks, and I said, okay.
Don't hurt me.
So Riley's catching, and he's throwing some breaking balls, some sliders, stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I noticed one time he really turns his hips a lot, and he really gets into it. And when that thing comes by me, I heard it. I'm not sure I saw it. And I told him, I said, I'm done. I said, Billy, if you hit me in the head, I'm dead. I have no helmet, no nothing. I said, I'm done. I'm not standing here no more. I will stand outside and watch. But it's unbelievable. If you've never stood in a box, somebody throwing that hard, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I did it one time with Casey Hodges when he was still pitching for the Braves organization.
But add another 10, 15 mile an hour to what Casey was throwing.
Exactly. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, I used to hit a little bit. And I get up there in the cage with him. I'm like, daggone no, Hodge, I ain't got no.
We're talking about an individual that's hit over 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know what he threw that pitch at, but it was coming. And
so how does that happen? How does somebody, Abe, with his size, go as far as he does, and then somebody, and not throwing at just with Nicholas's size, hundreds of those guys never make it.
Because the attitude cuts them off. After Double A. You know, in position players, Double A is full of guys that can run and throw, but they can't hit. Double A is full of pitchers that can throw hard, but they can't locate. Well, they moved on forward. Nicholas has made the adjustments, doing what he's supposed to do, and they can count on him. You know, Billy, to be able to throw that hard is just a God-given talent. He had a small frame but huge legs.
Oh, yeah.
And flexibility unbelievable, but he did it on his heart.
But he had heart and want to.
Right. Now, Carter said something a little while ago, and he gave me a compliment, and appreciate that, what we did at Ferrum. And we were just a small part of a great place. And Ferrum was full of great professors and that really cared about the students, knew they needed a little encouragement at times, and helped them get their degree and educated them. And they got a real education on the athletic fields also. And I'm a big believer if athletics are done the right way, it's one of the greatest educational tools the systems have. If it's not done the right way, it's not a good experience for anyone. But at Ferrum, when they came there, we had an atmosphere of being very competitive, an atmosphere of wanting to win, and knew how to win. And winning is contagious, but winning is an attitude. And I'm a very big believer that you have to have a positive winning attitude to be successful in life. It's a pretty competitive world out there. And I've never apologized for wanting to win. I think it's very important. And you try to do it the right way. And in life, if you show me a good loser, and I'm not talking about a bad loser being unsportsmanlike or anything like that, but you show me a person that losing doesn't bother him. You show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. And it's nothing wrong with that. Being competitive is okay, as long as you don't cross the line and be unsportsmanlike.
Right.
And that's why most athletic teams have practice, so you can practice hard to get better and see who should be playing, and
keep it competitive. Selection of the team should be on a weekly basis.
But you have a common goal, and
it's to win.
But you teach them how to be a great teammate, to work for a common goal, overcome adversity. And there's not many classrooms you can find that in. So
very few.
If the coaches do a good job, it helps them later on in life. And I had a coach that was big on that. He was the toughest son of a gun I ever seen to play for. He's a deacon in the church. But when he put that uniform on, he was tough, and he let you know it. And I was at the end of some of those things, but he knew I could take it. But players will do about anything you want them to do if they know you care about them. They're more important than just a baseball player, football player, whatever. But Ferrum had that atmosphere of young men and women that lacked a little confidence, became very confident before they left, and they could handle the world, and a lot of them have been very, very successful. This past weekend, there was a fundraiser in Appomattox for one of our former players who's battling ALS. And they had a couple flights, had 40 teams. And another former player, Tom Cobb, was, put the tournament together, and, for his good friend in Appomattox, Russell Walton. But Russell was a great player at Ferrum, tough. The best compliment you can give a baseball player is he was a great teammate. And Russell Walton was probably the best teammate anyone could ever find. But you go down there, and Appomattox is a small town, great people. Ferrum has been blessed by a lot of great baseball players from Appomattox. Keith Mayhew was a 3-time All-American. Justin Franklin was a first-team All-American. Greg Mayberry, when we were a junior college, and they had the supplemental draft was a first-round draft choice from Appomattox. Tom Cobb is a big banker down there, was from Appomattox, great player, second leading hitter, career hitter at Ferrum behind Eric Owens.
Wow.
And just great players from Appomattox. And if y'all keep up with Appomattox, they've had great football.
They got great football teams.
But they're good people. The whole county came out and helped support that. It was just a huge thing. And we had about 25 former baseball players down there, and very successful young men that really, had life-changing moments at the college and became unbelievably successful pillars of their communities. And what really got me down there is that one of them is already retired, and a couple of them have grandchildren.
That you coach.
That I coached. So I went down early, and I was with Jimmy. These 4 guys were on our first team at Ferrum. Jimmy Sood, he was our first team All-American. Timmy Comer, our second baseman, he's a big-time basketball official, ACC, and all the big leagues. Tris Lipscomb.
He's one of those guys, huh?
Tris Lipscomb was the National Player of the Year in American Legion Baseball after his freshman year at Ferrum, signed with Texas.
Wow.
And then Tommy Mad Dog Smith. Great catcher, great arm. Threw 3 or 4 guys out against Virginia Wesleyan one game, and my old buddy Smitty. Y'all Smitty, don't you?
They don't know Smitty, I doubt.
Well, Smitty was a legend.
A legend.
And he was at the game, and Mad Dog threw out the third one. Some said, he just yelled out, said, "Won't y'all ever learn?" But Mad Dog would strike out 3 times and then win the game for us at the end because he was such a competitor. But he was a great catcher. We hit him 8th or 9th. But they were on our first team, and we were still a junior college. So my first year there, we were junior college. And so we have great memories, and they told me a lot of great stories. Some of them I was part of, some of them I didn't remember, and some of them I shouldn't know. But it was so much fun.
See, Simon, to put it in perspective for you, I guess, I don't know what year you moved here to Ferrum County, probably early 2000s.
2007.
2007, okay. So back in the 70s and 80s and up into the early 90s, Ferrum had Franklin County on the map for a multitude of different reasons. Their football program, multiple national championships. Then you get in the late 80s, early 90s, you had Eric Owens and Billy Wagner there playing baseball. You had Chris Warren playing football there, who ended up being an all-pro in the NFL. And we talked about it last time, like they actually had to make a rule, and NCAA had to change a rule for him because he came down here, transferred out of UVA and come here to play at Ferrum. He's from Virginia Beach, I think, and dominated so much they had to make a new rule, I guess, saying that, I think Abe said this last time, that you have to be eligible to school you're leaving to immediately start playing somewhere else. Yeah. Because he got down to Ferrum.
He was the true definition of a man among boys.
Right.
I mean, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler.
Oh.
Just another level.
I've watched him run up here at Cy Dillon Stadium at the high school with 3 or 4 guys on his back and never break stride.
And
strong.
But we talk about those people, the Chris Warrens, Eric Owens, the Billy Wagners, the Ed Georges, the Rock Perdonis, just great people.
But there's a team behind them.
Absolutely. And I've said this 100 times. Billy and Eric are the name and the face of Ferrum baseball, but there's so many great, great people, great men that turned out to be unbelievable teammates.
Oh, goodness.
They were just super players that couldn't do anything outstanding but win. They would beat you. And they were just good baseball players. And they were great people. And they loved each other. But the thing they did, they loved Ferrum College. And I did too. And I still do. And Ferrum is being led by a different person now. Dr. Martin. She's been there 4 months. She gets an A for effort. I don't know whether y'all have ever met her, but she is a go-getter. And we're all pulling for her to help out the college and get it back to where it was at times. And it's a great place. It's a great place for Franklin County, and we need to support her and support the college. And she actually came down to the golf tournament. I told her Russell's story, and she came down, and she really wants to get the baseball players back on campus. She thinks that's very important, which I do too.
I agree.
It's just been a lot of hard feelings in the baseball program coming back on campus, and that's behind us now. And she's got a chance to do great things, and she needs a lot of help from our community and the alums, and to get the enrollment back up.
Yeah, let's get behind her.
Yeah.
Even if not for the alums, just for the people of this town like me, I never went to Ferrum, but I grew up going up there and watching sports when I was a kid. My dad would take us up there on a Saturday. There's nothing like those are some of the memories that have stuck with me, is just those random Saturdays you'd go up there. Because when you're a kid, if you're 8 years old, 9 years old, those guys down there playing football, they might as well be NFL players. They might as well be men. Mm-hmm. Take your kids up there, spend a couple of dollars, support local. Well, like give them kids a reason to want to come to Ferrum. Like when Ferrum has those recruiting weekends, when the kids are coming and saying, "Do I want to go to school here?" You don't have to go every week, but if everybody in this town decided they wanted to go to a game or two a year, you go up there, you take your kids, they enjoy it, you get some popcorn, you get a hot dog, the place is packed, and then good kids that want to do better for themselves and better, they're going to come here and go to school like they did back in the day. And it's such a hard, like the college scene, the athletic scene, all of it is so different though than it was 30 years ago. It's so much different. Right. It's so much harder.
I think Abe touched on something that I feel I want to comment about, and that competitive sports gives you such an advantage in life because you learn how to lose.
Yes, you learn how to deal with failure, especially if you're a baseball player.
And that's what I'm talking about, because when you leave everything on the pitch, and I've played a reasonable level of rugby, and you come away having lost a game, but you don't feel as though you lost at all because you had a damn good game. You left everything on the pitch. You lost. Okay, move on.
But then you figure out what happened that caused you to lose, and you improve on that.
Oh,
for the
absolutely.
Next,
but
nowadays the problem is with kids is it's become such a participation thing. It's like, well, if you're the best, then you still have to sit out for a few innings to let this other kid come in and play.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Oh, and it is, because and you think, and I know on the surface level you're thinking, oh, it's great. And all kids get a chance to participate. Well, all kids get a chance to participate in practice. And if that kid on the bench only gets in the game when it's a slaughter rule, then he's going to go out there and he's going to take that extra time to better himself. How many kids out there got cut early and ended up going on to be greats? Michael Jordan was one of them.
I just watched the Air movie last night.
Was it good?
It was.
But it probably missed the point because it was more about shoes than it was about.
Well, no, it was more about the gentleman that worked at Nike to get him to Nike than it was about Jordan. But again, I mean, he was cut from his high school basketball team.
Yeah,
and he went on and made it. But back to what Billy's saying, and I was going to go back to your point about Ferrum and the football program. When you went with your dad back in the early 90s or late 80s, whenever you were going, they were men.
Yeah.
And not to say they're not now, but it's been watered down. Even in the baseball world, every sport has been watered down because of the participation, because we got to be woke.
And because of the coddling.
Yeah.
And, we can't have 2 days
you
anymore.
Go back to the point
hot.
that Abe just made. People don't learn how to fail.
And that unfortunately.
And then when they get in the real world, they don't know how to fail at that. And then it's like, woe is me, and that's where we're at.
And mediocrity,
yes,
becomes something a little bit more sinister.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer in you earn everything you get. It took me several years before I was able to play for my first team.
How many?
Several years.
Wow.
And then when I got to that point, it was being able to read the game And it was the reading the game that made me the first team player. It wasn't my skill level. It was being able to read the game.
Right.
And it was powerful. It's very powerful. And then to hold your place in that first team through merit.
Well, this goes right along with the earlier conversation we were talking about the NIL in college football or any sport, really. But, I mean, I can think of a couple guys that I know of that I can name names that now they've transferred to the third or fourth time. Well, do they just not want to compete for the job? They want to go somewhere where it can be handed to them.
Yeah.
Well, see, the portal.
The portal does that.
Yeah, but the portal used to be for the disgruntled guy. Like
exactly.
If you pinch hit for him in the eighth inning, he'd be in the portal that afternoon, maybe.
Right.
But now it's for the guys that are playing great, so they can see how much money they can
There's so
get.
much money they can get.
But the biggest. We're jumping around here, but the biggest problem about the NIL, the NCAA wasn't prepared for it. Now the head of the NCAA wants to turn it over to Congress and let them figure it out.
Okay.
Now, how's that going to work?
They can't. They can't
come on.
figure out what they need to figure out anyway.
Come on.
Don't put any more on them.
We want to send that to Congress.
Yeah, let's not get into a political battle.
I want to see Congress straighten out Alabama and LSU.
Yeah.
Right. Mississippi State and
long as
Ole
Bama
Miss
wins.
and South Carolina.
I wouldn't trust him with a potato gun, but that's neither here nor there.
All right, we're jumping around. About Ferrum, talking about football.
How can the
Black Hats.
community get in here, though? You're talking about getting behind the new president of Ferrum College.
Very simple.
Explore
It's
that.
very simple. You're sitting in a restaurant. It's parents. First time they've ever come to Ferrum, they're bringing their son or daughter to Ferrum to see the school. Well, they're going to stop somewhere around here for lunch, dinner.
Both.
If you're sitting in there and someone asks you about say good things about it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of good things about it. And
It's a great campus.
It's just very simple. It's just talk good about it. Now,
I mean, is it like showing up for the games?
absolutely, it comes support.
I mean, it was about the high school.
Yeah,
But I've never, and it's just down the road from me. I should be going and supporting those games.
it's a huge asset for Franklin County, but it's also a huge asset for the state of Virginia. Ferrum serves a greatness. They do a tremendous job with the students they have, and they take them a lot further than a lot of the schools. But private schools all over the country, especially private small liberal arts schools in rural areas, are really struggling. And Ferrum is in that situation, but it's worth fighting for. Now, would I have said this 4 years ago? Absolutely not. I was very left in a way I never imagined I would leave, and I didn't handle it very well at all, mentally or emotionally. But that wasn't Ferrum College. That was just a couple individuals. So I have no bitterness whatsoever toward Ferrum College, and it's worth fighting for. And I'd like to see it get turned around and do the great things it's done for so many people. The faculty up there is just so – they're there to teach. They're a teaching faculty. They don't do a lot of research. They do some publications, but their main goal is to teach. Their main objective is to teach, and they do a good job. And I just want to see more of it. There's a need in the educational system for Ferrum College.
I'd like more local kids from Franklin County to go to Ferrum College.
And Franklin County kids, keep this in mind for any parents out there. If I'm not mistaken, they get kind of a discount if they end up deciding to stick local and go to Ferrum, don't they?
Well, there used to be a real good discount, but now, there's a program up there that Pell eligible students will get free tuition, and that's all over the state of Virginia. And that was just an initiative she put out there, but the local people need. They ought to be able to come to Ferrum less expensive than the other schools.
Yes,
it's very important.
I'd like to see that enormously. I've been to the campus.
She's, that with that initiative right there, it's going to be a tremendous help, because higher education is very expensive, public or private.
Well, it's debt slavery at the end of the day.
Well,
if I'm brutal about it,
the privates usually after discounts and everything get close to the public. the worst thing you can do in searching for college is get the sticker shock. Now there's a big debate whether college education is the way to go or technical is the way to go, and I'm so proud that Franklin County just approved the new school. Tech
That's
center.
huge.
It's
Huge.
huge. It's
Huge.
so important. It's great to see that.
And let's have the industry behind it, supporting it.
Yeah, the school board and the supervisors got together on that. It's much needed, and that may be the thing, the right way to go. Learn a trade. If money is the only measuring stick you have, you can make a whole lot of money.
That's appearing to be a very valuable statement.
Right.
Can you say that one more time, Abe?
I forget what I said.
The technical college is probably a very good
Absolutely
way to go, and I fully support that endeavour. I
Right.
fully support that,
right.
and we have to be behind that.
But when you go to college and you come out with a mortgage without a house, it's tough, and young people just look at the next week, not the next 4 years instead of the next 40 years. And college is a great time in your life. Worst mistake I ever made was graduating in 4 years. It was just so good. I'd have been like Bellucci, 7
Career.
or maybe like the quarterback from Georgia who spent 6 years in college and still hadn't graduated.
Right.
But he's got 2 national championships.
Hey, I pulled almost 7 in college when it was all said and done.
Well, didn't Bellucci say 7 years down the drain?
Yeah.
And he got kicked
7
out
years
down the drain. But just Ferrum is a great place. It needs all of our help. The new leadership needs a lot of help. It didn't get this way overnight, and it's not going to get turned around overnight. And I'm not saying that in a negative, but small schools are struggling, and
As a whole, yes.
as a whole, and
I wonder if the president, what's the lady's name, Doctor?
Dr. Martin.
I wonder if Dr. Martin would consider coming on here and
Absolutely,
promoting
I'm
it.
sure she would.
I
She's
think
gonna-
that would be a great step.
She will travel, and she does everything. She meets the recruits on campus, and she goes with the coaches to family.
I'd
home
love to
visits.
promote Ferrum College. I really would.
Well, you need it. I mean, you need I think the education system in this country has become, as Carter said earlier about sports, very watered down. I think your degrees nowadays have become what your diplomas were 20 years ago. Anybody and everybody can get them, and we really have to curb that back, because at the end of the day, the world needs ditch diggers. And I'm not saying that you need to be a ditch digger when you're 45 years old, but what I'm saying is you need, if college isn't your plan, if it isn't right for you, then you go out there and you learn how to dig a ditch, and then you eventually work your way forward and work your way up.
And own the company that does the ditch digging.
Exactly. Like not everything is for everybody. Like we still need mechanics. We still need
Plumbers,
we
electricians.
need electricians and stuff like that. And you can go to a trade school and do that kind of stuff, or you can just go learn from somebody around here and get a part-time job while you're in high school. But for other avenues, you do need that higher education. And I just think we just need to get it back to the point to where not everybody is going to college, and that way it becomes a little bit more secluded. It becomes a little bit different. It gets back to how it was back in the day, where people that are going there are really motivated to go there.
Don't lower the bar.
Motivated to go.
Well, they're going there for a purpose.
They're going there for a purpose. Like nowadays, it's like, oh, you got to go to college because you have to.
Yeah,
No, you
don't
don't.
lower the bar, raise it.
Exactly. And you go back to Ferrum, you get to these places, and you entice these kids to come here, and you do that by just random Saturday afternoon. You got nothing else to do. Of course, go up to the Folklife Festival. Go up to a football game. Take your kids up there, get some hot dogs and peanuts. Watch a game. Your kids will look at those athletes down there like they're men, whether you look at them like that or not. And they will be excited about it. They'll have a good time about it. And the crowd will be bigger. That way when the recruits come in, they say, wow, man, this place really is behind. And then you never know. You never know how many kids are going to come here and they're going to stick around here. They're going to be that kind of motivated. But we have to find that happy medium for one. We have to find a way to not let it be so diluted. And then you get those people that are willing to show up, that are dedicated, that are willing to go the extra mile. And then they inspire others.
I always knew playing a home game with a home crowd gave me a 7-point advantage off the bat, regardless, because you had the confidence behind you.
Not many people like to come into Ferrum inside the mountain and play us in baseball. Not many people like to come to Adams Stadium and
play football back in the day.
Not many of them want to come in that basketball gym and play. And I'll tell you, no, not many of them want to come in and play against Shea Smith when she was at Ferrum from right here in Franklin County. And we've talked about good athletes. Shea Smith was one of the best. And that was exciting basketball.
Now, when did she come through?
I don't know the exact year, but we went.
She probably graduated 5 or 6 years ago from Ferrum.
Really?
Somewhere thereabout.
Okay,
No,
she's a
more
lot
than
younger.
Is it more than that?
Yeah.
It's not that far back.
But they packed. We had the regionals there. They packed the place, and but they packed it about every game.
From when she was playing, yeah.
She was unbelievable. We talk about the Chris Warrens and the Billy Wagners and the Eric Owens. You got to put Shea Smith in there. I believe she could have played defensive back for a football team.
She could get it done.
She was an unbelievable athlete and just a great person and competitive. Just so fun to watch and just homegrown. And she just came up 40.
Well, and talking about supporting Ferrum and kind of bringing it back to where it was at 15, 20 years ago, I can think of several people that came to Ferrum for whatever reason, whether it be a sports or come there to school, that are still in the area, that didn't live here previously or here in the area, maybe not immediate Franklin County, but within a county or two over, and some of them are back coaching there, and, it's kept some people in this area.
Yep.
And, I guess nowadays maybe you could call it a hidden gem. It was back then, but it's a gem.
It's a beautiful
And
place to live.
It needs to be brought back to where it was at.
Yep.
Abe, I know we were talking earlier before we started. You got on me the last time we were here. If we left out anybody, I think we come up with a couple of names maybe you left out from maybe this area.
Well, I don't think I gave Travis Hunley enough credit, right there. You're talking about being from, he was just down the street from Ferrum.
I mean, literally.
Yeah, but unbelievable athlete, worked hard, one of the hardest working players that ever played at Ferrum. He was our MVP his senior year, played some pro ball.
Travis make it all the way to the pros?
He made it. Yeah, he played the independent teams, but he could run, throw.
Now, he had a frame, too. I like Travis. Travis would come up to Radford and hang out from time to time back in the day, and I knew his dad.
Don't tell him that.
And I knew his dad.
Travis is just such a great person.
Great family.
Yeah.
Did I say anything about Lincoln Gardner, Lincoln Play?
No, we didn't.
Lincoln?
Todd Hudson.
You didn't mention Todd the first time, or Lincoln.
Lincoln had a great arm.
Lincoln was another lanky guy that could have.
He went to VMI and transferred.
Came back.
He had a great arm.
Again, that goes back to, Division I's not for everybody, whether it be VMI or wherever, and it gave him a chance to come back home, and he had a great career at Ferrum.
But I didn't go to Ferrum. Came out from high school in 77. I wanted to get away from home, but that's really changed. That, most students will pick a college within a 3-hour radius, 3-hour distance from home, unless they can go free somewhere. They want to be close. And that's what Ferrum needs to be real strong locally. And it starts in this county, then it's all the counties that border Franklin County.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And
Couldn't agree with you more.
You got to be strong.
You've
locally.
had several players come out of Patrick County and Henry County. David
Pennsylvania
Jones.
County.
He could play a little bit.
Absolutely. First team All-American. He was picked as the best second baseman in the country. Now, y'all say, well, that's Division III. Well, there's more Division III schools in America
Then there ought to be some.
than the other two put together almost.
Yeah.
Division I and Division II. So he was picked the best, and most all Division III schools have baseball.
Yeah, see, I went to Emory and Henry out of high school, and I kind of.
You admit that. You'll say that.
Willingly.
Hey,
He admits it willingly.
On their public airtime.
hey.
Well, Billy, you
Well,
brave.
my whole thing was I just want to kind of get away from Franklin County for a bit. But in hindsight, I look back, I'm like, I just went to Ferrum, just 2.5 hours away. I probably would have been better suited just to go
But
to
you
Ferrum.
stayed within 3 hours of your
But I
hometown?
stayed within 3 hours of home, and I went down there and I played. I played my first year I redshirted. Second year I came back
Did you play for Lou Wacker?
I did.
My mom went to Emory Henry.
Yeah.
Did she?
I like Emory. Emory Henry's full of good people, and the best one is Ann Crutchfield. You know, she's
Yep.
the AD down there.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
should
'cause,
get- you should get her on this podcast.
She'd be a good one.
Well,
She's
her
one of the best
husband,
basketball
John
players
was
come
one
out
of
of
my
here.
football coaches when I was in high school. John Crutchfield was he was one of our guys, and I think he went to Emory as well. I mean, it was a good school. Went down there with a bunch of my
You
buddies.
think he went
and-
to Emory? He bleeds Emory Henry blood.
Yeah. That's what they met at down there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I liked it. It was enjoyable and stuff. And actually, it was kind of serendipitous.
That's a $20 word, Billy. Steady on.
It is.
Woohoo!
That's a big one for her.
First year I redshirted. I think second year I came back, and I was a redshirt freshman, and I got into one game towards the end because we were walking the dog, and it was Ferrum. We were up on them like 38-6 or something like that.
I don't remember that. but
So
go ahead.
I can remember it because I remember it was the first time I ever got into a game, and for me it was special because it was Ferrum that I was getting in against. You know, I grew up watching them and stuff, and I got in there the last couple of series, and the last play of the game in Rudy fashion, I got a sack, same number and everything, same colors, all kinds of stuff. And then the following year, I'd come back home from basic training.
Wait a minute. Did you just liken Emory Henry to Notre Dame?
I likened myself.
That's stretching it.
I likened myself to Rudy and Notre Dame. Big difference. So I finished out that season. That's the only playing time I got. The next year, I ended up making the travel squad, and I got back from basic training. I was in such a good shape and such a good runner, they moved me from defensive tackle to middle linebacker or something. I ain't never played linebacker my entire life, but I made the travel squad for the Ferrum game as well. So I got to travel. It's the only game I ever traveled for. And I came back and got in on a couple of kickoffs, and we won that game too. So I never lost to Ferrum. And a couple weeks later, I ended up just quitting because I had this just crazy feeling in my stomach, my gut. We were going to Iraq or whatever, and I just couldn't focus on anything else at the time. I was just done with it. So, and then sure enough, you know, I told the dean, I said at the end of the year, I said, look, I'm leaving, I'm going home. You know, I might come back, might do something, but I got a feeling we're going somewhere. And the rest of my buddies stayed down there. And then about a month and a half later, when we got the call, they were all having to scramble to get their crap out of college. And I was like, I'm done. I got it all out. I knew we were going. So,
God bless you for doing what you did.
well, I
and serving the
appreciate it. I
country.
appreciate it. But, you know, and Emory was fun. I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. And there's a lot of things I learned from that place. Ended up going to Radford and finally getting my degree. But, you know, for me, I could have just went to Ferrum and had the same experience. Not quite the same because but either way, I can see the benefits of getting people to come up because it is a beautiful college. I spent a lot of time partying up there, a lot of time partying at the ranch house, a lot of time partying at Trollville.
They've had parties up there before.
A couple. A few nights I remember. You know,
I guess our baseball players didn't find out where they were.
No.
they didn't know that.
Most of your ball players were in the dorm room sleeping, and they were never
Studying. They were studying.
and they were
They
never
were in
out.
study hall with their whatever.
They were never out driving around, still in the mailbox of the baseball coach.
They
either.
never were at the range
That
or up
never-
on
that
Hillcrest or anywhere like that.
You know
All
what?
right. One other thing. The football team's having their golf tournament in June, the Hank Norton Memorial Football Golf Tournament
Yep.
at Botetourt Country Club, June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Where?
June 3rd at Botetourt Country
Botetourt.
Club.
Now Cleve's still coaching there, right?
Yep.
I like Cleve. He's been on the show before.
Nice guy.
I like him. He's very, very motivated.
I think some of the 65 national championship team are coming to play. That's a great bunch. But if you want to sponsor a hole, or I think they have a couple more slots for teams, but they're about to fill up. The last time I talked to Bobby James, so if you'd
Bobby
like,
James.
if you'd like to sponsor a hole, you need to see Bobby James. Cuckoo.
Oh, Bobby.
Cuckoo.
You know, one of the
Legend.
best things about Ferrum College is that stretch of road running from Callaway to Ferrum College. Man, that's a moonshine running road, and you want to run it as fast as you can. And if Sheriff Overton is listening, it's not the Englishman saying this.
Don't ask any of Abe's former ball players about running that road.
It's
They
a
had to run.
magnificent piece of
As
road.
he followed them in a beat up
Easy.
Ford pickup truck.
Be nice.
Oh, I never had to do it, but I
Great
heard
stretch
stories.
of road. Oh my goodness, I can't help but race it.
Well, it's beautiful up there. Like I said, you always got the Folk Life Festival. That's always brought great memories for me and my family and going up there. And I mean, it's a beautiful campus. You got the pond up there. Like,
That'd be Adams Lake,
yeah.
not a pond.
But Billy,
It's a pond.
not many people know where Ferrum is, and if you go up Route 40, very many people say, I just passed by. Well, you got to be going to Ferrum.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't happen upon it.
So I told
Not many people are going to Woolwine.
when Eric got into the big leagues, I said, now, Eric, they're going to be asking you Ferrum. Where's Ferrum? And I said, don't tell them it's between Roanoke and Martinsville. See, a lot of people have heard of Martinsville because of the race. And a lot of baseball people like racing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you got to tell them it's between Wadesboro and Endicott.
Oh, wow.
I said, they'll know where it is.
And don't come off the Parkway at Endicott, whatever you do, because that piece of road coming down there is a
We're not giving Roanoke any credit. Or Martinsville. It's between Wadesboro and Endicott.
That's a good one. I like that.
And it's 5 miles from Bowling Hot Dogs.
There you go.
There's a lot of people might know where that is.
Right, exactly. But talking about people coming to the campus for the first time, I'm a big believer that you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. The campus looks so much better. They've really worked hard on the grounds. But you go through that stoplight at CVS, and then they have the sign, Ferrum 10 miles. Isn't that the longest 10 miles you've ever driven in your life?
It's brutal, isn't it?
I mean, that's a long 10 miles.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love all the people who live on 40. It's fun, But you bring a team from Johns Hopkins or up north somewhere, or the last game I coached, it was from Emory University in Atlanta. But you bring those teams that they've heard of Ferrum, they didn't know where it was.
Well, that's back in the day when you used to play the teams from upstate New York and stuff. They come down. They're coming down in February and early March.
Right.
It's the first
Come
time
down the Parkway.
It's the first time they've seen grass all spring. It's been snow, and they're like, "Oh, grass and dirt."
But see,
Oswego and all them.
But when a team came from the west, we'd bring them down Shooting Creek.
Shooting Creek.
Oh, no. Oh, you are
we
mean.
wanted them sick time they got there. And then if they came from the south, we'd bring them up Pullman Switch. Yeah.
I made the
On
mistake.
a charter bus.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Back then, not many of them probably come on charter buses.
I made the mistake of coming off the Parkway when I first got here at Endicott. Coming down, it was pretty much a dirt trail in a Dodge Caravan. My poor wife, I think, it was just horrendous.
Back in the day, you passed some of the best trout fishing there was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I did. But at that point, I was focused on keeping the caravan on the trail. And
There wasn't a road.
But gravity was going to win.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I think it's great y'all had them coming up on the mountains like that. Because it kind of makes you think. But it's like if you're a ball player and you're 20 years old and you're coming from New York, you're thinking in your mind, where in the hell am I at and what the hell have I got myself into?
Can you hear the banjos playing?
But I think I talked about this last time, but when Darren Hodges and Billy and Eric were, they were going to be high draft choices, and scouting cross checkers would call the house, how do I fly into Ferrum? And I said, you can't unless you see Paul Rafferty's brother that used to have a plane. But, I tell them you have to go to Greensboro or Roanoke, and then about an hour away. But you take someone, their first time out here, riding through Rocky Mountain, which I think is a very neat town. I like it. I just, and I'm happy a lot of stuff is going on. But people don't realize how many people we bring into Franklin County. And this is the first time I've ever been into the county going to Ferrum. I remember one game that Billy pitched. There were 7 people from the New York Mets front office there because they had the 7th pick, and it's a chance that he would go that high. Now, could you think about the New York Mets having 7 people and they're wondering where they were?
Ferrum, Virginia.
Ferrum, Virginia.
This is something I don't think we've ever brought up on the show before, but it kind of does tie into Ferrum especially. But and this goes a little bit further back, but there was a coach that was, if I'm not mistaken, was supposed to be on the doomed Marshall football team flight.
No, he was the head coach. Rick Tolley was the head coach of Marshall.
Yeah, and did he come from Ferrum?
Yeah,
that's right.
He was Coach Norton's assistant.
That's right, the head coach. But at the same time as well, there was another coach on that flight who decided not to get on it that night and was going to come up to Ferrum and look at a couple of ball players or something, and didn't get on the flight, and the flight went down. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but in 1970, Marshall University, pretty big, it's a very successful program these days, especially lately, football team, played a game in East Carolina and flew back home, and their plane crashed in Huntington that night, getting close to the airport, and killed everybody on board.
Oh.
The movie, if you've never seen the movie, We Are Marshall.
They crashed within sight of the airport, didn't they?
Yes, it will. It will make the hair on your neck stand up. It will probably make you cry, even if you're a big man. But it did. It wiped out the entire football team. And one of the coaches that stuck around the next year to help rebuild it, at the last second, changed spots with a guy who had to come up here and look at a couple guys. And if I'm not mistaken, Tolley, like you said, the head football coach for Marshall at the time, was a Ferrum graduate. And I want to say
it was 8 players. It was a Ferrum 9. There was 9 of them there. One of them didn't go on the trip, but 8 former Ferrum players.
There was a lot of Ferrum players on that flight too.
Wow.
And that's why we have, Ferrum has the Big Green Award for Marshall, and the weight room is a Big Green.
Really? I did not know that.
Absolutely. And see, the 68 team won the national championship, and those 9 players were on the 68 national championship team.
Oh, what a tragedy.
And they all went and played at Marshall and were on that flight. Yeah, there's a lot of ties into this area from.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. And I mean, and that whole incident as well, like I know the president, I think, of Marshall at the time, Dedman, ended up going to Radford after the fact, and their whole athletic center up there is named after him, the Dedman Center. But a lot of NCAA rules were changed after that incident because that was the first time that true freshmen were allowed to play football, and they didn't have to redshirt because of Marshall. They had to play first-year players. They didn't have enough. But, yeah, I forgot, but not a lot of people know about that, but there was a lot of Ferrum ties to that plane crash.
Well, at the golf tournament on June 3rd, the 65 team will have a couple teams in, but they played when Rick Tolley was the assistant at Ferrum. Horace Green was on the 68 team. Jerry Little.
One of my head coaches. Jerry Little was my head coach.
Jerry Little played on the 65 team, but he coached the 74 and 77 national championship teams. So he was involved in 3 of the national championships.
Yeah, both of those were my head coaches. So you're saying both those guys played with a lot of the players that were on that flight. That's wild.
Horace Green did. Jerry left. He went to somewhere in Mississippi.
I do remember hearing about that. Him going all the way down there. That's wild. That's a lot of things that people don't think about. That Ferrum back in the day, there was that junior college that was a feeder for Division I schools. Like they would come here and they would find the best players would be at Ferrum, and they'd send them on to Division I.
Yeah. Coach Norton. I was around him for a long time, and they had a great kicker, Frank the Foot Fontes, kicked barefooted.
What a name! Fontes. Wow, the foot.
So Coach Norton gets to his office one morning, the phone's ringing. Coach Norton always got there early. He answers, "This is Paul Bryant. Called you kicker." Hank said, "Yeah, right." I thought somebody was
playing a joke.
Playing a joke on him. But it was the bear. The bear was calling it about Frank the Foot Fontes.
No kidding.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of stories on this show about that in the racing world. Like somebody, like Kel Yarborough, call up Jimmy Hensley, be like, "I ain't got time for this," and hang the phone up and call back. Look, this is Kel. Now, God dang it, I ain't got time. That happens pretty frequently because back in the day, you didn't have all this.
All right, Billy, you're going to work on Paul Radford, Gary Gilmore, and Dwayne Pee Wee Boyd.
Virginia Hall of Fame. I wanted to ask one more thing before we got out of here, too, because last time it wasn't on the show, but I want to say y'all two talked about a story about golfing or something. I want to say maybe a golf trip to Cincinnati or something. A golf trip.
They both know. They both acknowledge.
No.
It's nothing bad.
No, it was just a really good story.
Billy and Eric
were playing each other.
Playing each other in Cincinnati. We took a bus. We had 55 people on the bus that seated 56.
Billy was playing for Houston, and Eric was playing for Cincinnati.
3-game series. And it was 12 or 16 of us went to play golf. And who was the guy, the first
Hal Morris.
Hal Morris paid for us all.
We show up and everybody, we're expected to play golf, and they're like, "Oh no, House took care of it. You paying?"
But Billy and Eric are playing with us.
Who was Hal?
played,
For everybody who don't know,
he was the first baseman for the Cincinnati Reds. Didn't he play that day? Didn't he play with us?
Yeah, he played golf, and they played against each other that night.
That was the hardest damn golf course I ever played.
Really?
Oh, he looked like something from British Open. The rough was 4 foot tall.
But one
God
of
save the king.
Oh, it was rough, man.
it was a 2-1 ball game, and Billy struck Eric out for the last out.
No kidding.
Oh, it was tailor made for us.
Billy had to back off him, man, because he was smiling,
Because we went the first night we was there, we all met after the game and went and had dinner.
Yeah. But the small world thing was, we're on the elevator, and we're talking to this guy and telling him what we're going to do and this and that, and introduced herself. The guy, and he was in charge of public relations. He was from Callaway. And he said, "You're kidding me." So, y'all are from Ferrum, and you're here. And told him his story that Billy and Eric were going to play. He got me down on the field.
Yep.
But we're in the elevator. Meet the PR guy, and he's from Callaway.
Do you remember his name?
No.
Because we were talking
Grew
about
up right beside the racetrack.
I'm out on that one. But that was a great trip.
It was Whitey Taylor.
No, I know it wasn't White.
Not hardly.
that would have been a great surprise.
That'd have been odd.
But I mean, that's crazy. We talked about this on the last show. I mean, Nick come from Callaway. Terrell Basham came from Callaway. I mean, you've got Billy Hurt from Boone's Mill down the road. I mean, Callaway guy doing public relations for the freaking Cincinnati. I mean, Callaway is like this hidden gem of. You've got
It's a secret, Billy.
British refugees up there that
it's a secret.
But
I mean, we still got ties in major leagues right now. We got Bobby Basham, who is in the front office with the Cubs.
That's right.
In
He
this
is in the
area.
front office.
yeah,
isn't
he's
he?
got a ring.
Yeah, he's got a ring.
That's
You know,
right.
Kelvin Bowles was with the Major League Baseball for a long, long time.
Now, Eric, he's still with the Blue Jays, isn't he?
No, he's
No,
out
he's
of
retired.
coaching.
Okay, so what's he? But he still lives in Canada.
Lives in Canada,
What's he
doing?
on the West Coast.
On Canada, eh?
I thought last time I'd sent him a message, and he was all about coming in for the reunion and stuff. And
Oh, he
said,
sent me 2 or 3. He was ready.
yeah, and then he said, "Oh well," he hit me about a week or two later. He said, "Well, now that date isn't going to work," which ended up working out for
He
everybody.
was
I
going on
think.
vacation or something.
Yeah, I was like, "How did you forget that?" I said, "Your wife
Right.
done jumped in on you." Is what happened. But either way, he's all about it in the fall time too. So whatever time he can come down here and, just let us know whatever game they decide on. Maybe we can speak with her. We can all get together and make it work. But
You need to get her down here for a podcast.
I think we could do that. I think we could definitely do that. Bring y'all both on here and we can talk about what our future plans are, what y'all's future plans are for Ferrum College and what you like to see. Because I'd like to see it again. I like to see a time period where everybody
Get it back to
around
the
here.
heyday.
Yes, why not?
Absolutely.
Why
it
not?
can be done.
Oh, it can.
So look forward to that this fall. This fall, at some point in time, I guess the 92, 93 team will be their 30 year. You know, your Billy Wagner's, Eric Owens, Chad France, Kevin Anderson. You know, some of these guys still live around here. A bunch of those boys.
Man, you just named some good people, Chad and Kevin.
Yeah, I talk to Kevin every now and then. I keep basing him. I'm hoping he's going to be at the event next week with Spike. I invited him to come on out here because he's been a pretty good supporter of the show. I like Kevin a bunch. He's been, and then of course Brock. You know, I played ball with him, and that was a hell of a ball player. And
Great family.
if I'm not mistaken, Brock actually, and now I know there's only a few people are going to get this reference, but Brock actually gave Henry a championship in Little League Baseball around here. And if anybody knows just how improbable that is for Henry to win at anything, then you're going to know that boy can play some ball.
And then where would he have played on a Henry team?
This happened.
Well, I guess he's close enough. Sidnersville. I guess he was close enough. He's kind of that in-between guy.
Yeah, but I think he played on the Henry teams back in the day because he would throw some heat. I never got to play against Kevin, but Brock, he can.
They're just great people.
It is a whole around good family. So I'm hoping they're going to be there at the event next week at Spike. But for
I'll tell you,
this
somebody
event,
else was very interested in coming was Andy Callahan. He was on the text messages and the Facebook messages about coming
Absolutely, and his son played there too.
to that. He played there too.
I'm hoping the fall time is going to bring a little because it'll entice him a little bit. Billy probably won't be as busy with baseball in the fall as he is in spring. And Eric, of course, he said he's all about doing. All the rest of the guys said actually the fall would work out for them. So I don't know the exact date yet. We'll get back with y'all on that. We'll get back with whatever game they decide to do it. But whatever game they do decide to do it, I'm hoping we can have a little event on Saturday night somewhere here in town. Come out, see the guys, see where they've been, because there's a lot of people in Ferrum County that are going to be interested in seeing what's happened to these guys, what's happened to these kids, the young men that they watched grow up.
A lot of people, even in this area, unless you follow Ferrum religiously or Abe or Billy's career, have no idea that he's coaching high school baseball 2 hours from here in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
I mean, well, we went over. I don't know if you went this spring and watched them play North Cross, but we seen each other over there last year when they was playing North Cross. I mean, I love to go watch.
Yeah. Well,
I like watching him coach.
He didn't ever give you any grief, did he?
No.
Yeah. Well, you want to support the people that, and we're kind of the same here. It's the same thing we do. I always like talking about what Nick's doing. I like this season we'll talk about Terrell's doing. I like talking about the people that for me, time is the most precious and valuable resource we have.
Going back to,
and if you give me your time, I'm going to support you.
Kind of going back to what Abe has said about Billy and Eric. I mean, yeah, I don't have the relationship that he has with them, but I have a pretty good relationship with both of them. I could reach out to them and they would respond to me. But we go to a ball game like that. He always comes over and talks. Back several years ago, I guess he was still probably playing or just starting to finish up with his career. He would have a camp out in Tazewell every year in the fall. I don't know why he wanted to have it usually like the first week of muzzleloading season in Tazewell. But, we would take Jared and a couple of other local boys out there, and he would just sit down after it was over. Everybody's gone. He's just sitting on the mound talking to them and, giving them pointers and telling them things about his career and what he's done. And, they're like kid in candy store. And
well, they need that kind of stuff because they'll always remember it.
It's phenomenal. I mean, I've got pictures framed of us being out there and, the things he would do for that community and this community. I mean,
he gives his time and
oh my goodness, just great people.
And you want to get an autograph from him, the memorabilia, the stuff.
Oh yeah,
good.
I think that the last time we went, he sent me a dozen balls with me, and I said, "Hey, I got some balls I need you to get signed." He said, "I guess Coach sent them." He said, "I said, how did you know?" He said, "I knew it."
But he signs them right-handed.
Yeah, he does. He signs right-handed.
Even though he slings it left.
I'll have to say, one of my most prized possessions, I don't have many as far as memorabilia, is a ball he signed out to Comfort Inn the day he signed his first professional contract.
Really?
That's one of my most prized possessions.
But when he puts HOF on it,
it'll be even more.
If you'd ever want to sell them, it'd be very, very valuable. But
well, hopefully by this fall, when we have this event, he will be in the Hall of Fame because that's coming up when, in June or July?
No, so he didn't make it. It'll be the following
year.
We're hoping the following year.
Oh, really? When did they do the voting this year?
It's in the fall.
February.
Yeah, February.
Oh, okay. I thought for sure it was like in the middle of the season.
68%, right?
Yeah.
And he's 75.
75.
So he's close.
He's close. He should get there next year.
Yeah, as far as closers are concerned, it's only Mario Rivera, and then maybe Trevor Hoffman, and then him.
No,
if he's not
six.
above Hoffman,
he's 6.
Okay, I thought his overall stats put him right up there, when you combined them all. Not as far as saves, just in general. But
his stats are unbelievable.
And they're, I guess, probably still tops amongst left-handers.
Up there.
Oh yeah.
Up there, and like you said, when you go back to just his stature and his size and his dedication, and people just loved him. Like he was a favorite. Like he was a nationally well-known closer that people just enjoyed. Like never heard anybody say, "God, I just hate him."
He has never forgotten where he came from.
No,
and he'll do it. Russell really wanted to see him. Billy's played Friday, played today. He was there Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
For a former
player. Well, that shows you what his teammates and and Ferrum College means to him, and and the folks that played there. It's a brotherhood.
It's different. They're different.
The baseball team may not have a club name, but you talk about the football team. Like this golf tournament's going to come up June 3rd. They're the Black Hats because their helmets are always and always have been all black, and they're the Black Hat Society, a Black Hat, whatever you want to call it, and they are a diehard true family. The people that, if you get a text message from somebody and it's a former Black Hat or whatever, and you're a former football player, that's an elite class compared to according to them, and they really think highly of you. And if you played there and done anything with football, it's a unique atmosphere.
Earned.
Yes, it's very well earned.
Yep.
And I'd like to see them get back to that prominence.
I would
in
too.
the right direction.
I mean, we're in ODAC.
Which is good too. Like I don't think that can be appreciated enough. Because they were always jumping around conferences, but the ODAC is a very strong conference.
I mean, it's all the state schools, private schools, and then Guilford, and just where we need to be, but we need to be competitive, and that's got to happen. And I think it can happen and will happen. And just talking about the ODAC just 1 minute, Ferrum College. Just won the regular season in baseball and the conference tournament there in the regionals. I'm saying that for Steve Oakes and myself. We were both. That was our 10th conference championship. And the teams I was on, the team Steve was on, added to that 10.
I think we had that many football in Emory and Henry by the time I got there, and that was in 2000. So now Emory is a Division II school now, though. Did y'all know that?
Oh, yeah.
They jumped up. I have.
We got a kid from Frank County getting ready to head out there.
Yeah.
Eli Fouts.
Yeah, is it any relation? Any relation to the rest of the Foutses?
It's Matt Fouts' son.
Okay. All right. Well, most of the Foutses.
We wish him well.
Yes.
Great. I had a chance to keep up.
Great kid, great family.
I pull for them all.
Oh, yeah. I want to see them all succeed.
I just want Frank County guys to.
It's hard for me to pull for somebody if they end up at that school up in the Charlottesville area, but I mean, I'll pull for them. I mean,
well, fortunately, not a lot do that though. The last one I can remember that I would care about would have been Josh Gibson, and that was football. And I don't even think he never got any kind of significant play.
Like I said, I don't pull much for that school, but there's a not local, Frank County, but there's a young lady from Bassett that plays on their softball team, and she was probably the best freshman softball player in the country this year.
Really,
Jade Hilton. That girl can flat play. She can hit, she can throw, and right out of Bassett, Virginia.
Well, I'm going to make a comment here. My niece is graduating. She's not hadn't competed in athletics at UVA, but an outstanding student. Nellie Philpott is graduating from UVA.
Well, I'm sure she'll do great things
this coming weekend.
Yeah, there was you bring up softball. There was a girl around my high school time that played for William Byrd, I think, Brandy something or other, and I swear she probably threw 10 no-hitters a year. Do you remember who I'm talking about? She was, for William Byrd, I think, and just unreal. I don't know where or Northside or William Byrd, one of the two. But she was so good that, I mean, I think she was getting, like, national talk as a high school senior. I mean, like 7 or 8 no-hitters. If not every year, definitely in her career. I mean,
she may have played at
lights
Northside.
out. I think it was. Might have been Brandy. So Northside or Bird. Then you had that girl at Tech a few years ago who did the same thing. Can't remember her name
Angela
either.
Tincher.
There you go. Yeah, she was the same way.
It's that time of the year. I love watching college.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Softball.
Yeah,
They're amazing.
Tech's had another great year in softball. I mean, they're number 2 in the region in their seed right now.
So they're still alive.
Yeah, I mean, they go to, I think, Athens, Georgia to play in their regional. And it just depends on how they play. The boys, the baseball team's playing well. They've got an opportunity. It's just things are growing in this area. Whether it be Ferrum, Tech, UVA.
Well, it's always been like that. Virginia has always had some fine athletes. And I don't know, it's just that good combination. You go all the way down to coal country and find some great ones.
Billy Wagner's daughter plays basketball at Radford. She had a great freshman year. As a team, they finished okay. They didn't have a great season, but she did well. She played well.
I think it all goes
great asset to that team.
It all goes back to just what Abe's preached about in a couple shows he's been on here is just about how much sports and athletics really does teach you about things. We really need to get back to that point in time where we got to understand it is a game, it is a sport, and it's going to teach you a lot more about life than it ever is about sports.
Right.
And once you get it back to that, then I think that things will balance out quite a bit.
And a lot of that's going to have to go back to the folks that are running it and coaching at that level. The folks that are coaching, per se, most of the youth sports nowadays aren't the same people that were coaching when Abe was there, I was there, and even you were there. Now it's just any other dad or mom that they can get out of the stands that they'll be willing to basically babysit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of what it is. Sometimes nowadays, it's not a lot of coaching and instruction. You know,
what was his name? Used to be out there, Cecil. Followed baseball back in the day locally.
Well, he coached all the time. He coached J.P. Stevens. What was his name? Cecil Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he coached for years. You know, and
but all on the Albert Powell's.
Yeah, Albert Powell's. You'd have guys that would
the Danny Custers of the world and all the Doles down there in Snow Creek.
Yeah, even if you didn't have a kid on the team, you still coached.
They gave their time, and I wish we still had them in the local community.
Well, I mean, it's like we brought up a while ago, Alvin Hall. I mean, he's probably watched more Franklin County sports games.
Coy Worley up at Ferrum take his pickup truck all the way around. Have 9 on the back.
Yeah.
Get enough to play.
You know, it's just a different mentality nowadays, different atmosphere. And if we could get back to where that is, a lot of what's happening in the world would resolve itself as we go forward. But
yeah, I believe that to be true. You know, everybody in here played sports growing up. We all learned how to lose. We all learned how to get our asses kicked. I mean, you talk about playing high school football around here. We had so many great athletes here. We still get the shit kicked out of us. You know, I played on a team with Jacob Gibson. We won 1 game. You know, I never knew what it was like to win in high school football. Never.
Yeah,
Never
I
knew
didn't.
But you know, that sets you up for life in different ways. You know, it teaches you, well, what do I got to do to find that success somewhere else in life? Because eventually you get to the point when you're a little bit older, and that stuff will hurt you when you're younger. You're like, dang, man, you know, I worked so hard in the weight room, worked so hard doing this, and we still only won 1 game. We still only won 3 or 4 games. But once you get to be 24, 25, 26, you still have that drive. But then you think back and be like, well, you know, those high school games, they weren't that important to life. I mean, they were to some degree, but not winning 5 games or only winning 4 games or not going to the playoffs. Look, it's not affecting the rest of my life. But what I learned from that, and I'm bettering myself as a man, is what ended up being most important. You know, learning how to lose, learning how to be able to pick yourself up off the ground, and that sets you up in a prime position to be successful for the rest of your life.
Adversity is not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
My most conflicted sports story that I think about to this day was a game I played against a local side, and I've never played in a 0-0 draw in rugby.
Wow.
Never
That's a
happened
defensive
before.
battle.
Yeah.
It was a bloodbath.
I was going to say it was brutal, I bet.
Oh, my goodness. But I never forget that, because both sides came off having beaten the snot out of each other, going, you know what? We played so defensively, neither of us deserved to win.
Right.
And if someone had won, it would have been a robbery. And that was, funnily enough, as a 0-0, unheard of in rugby.
But
Did
you
y'all-
understand that.
Did y'all still sing the songs at the party afterwards?
Oh, you're darn straight we did.
No pints with a drink.
Yards, actually.
Yards.
Oh, yeah, it got ugly.
Well, I mean, you know, thinking about adversity, I mean, I can think back to a time when I was playing Little League Baseball here. I played for my uncle. And I showed up at the game with double pink eye in both eyes. I had no idea what I had, but I knew I couldn't see well. And he said, "You're pitching tonight." And I'm like,
Am I
Danny,
doing this by Braille?
I can't see the plate. And he said, "Well, what do you see?" I said, "I see 3." He said, "Throw it to one in the middle." And I could imagine today's society, if a kid showed up like that, what would happen to the parents. I mean, but that was how we were raised. I wanted to play. I didn't want to get the doctor. I didn't want to be sitting at home. I wanted to be playing because there was a game happening. And, you know, kids just aren't built that way today. They aren't pushed. They aren't prodded. They aren't taught the right way. It's just different. And I wish we could get back to it, and I hope we can. I don't know that we can, but
I think we have to.
if we don't, we're going to be, as a society, we're going to be in a
We're in a
world
worse,
of hurt.
yeah, we're in a bad place. If
We're in a very bad place right now.
Yeah.
But you know, I think about, you know, Billy's kids, and you know, I still have a young daughter, and you know, we have a young niece that lives in our home, and you know, kids today just don't go out and play outside like we used to.
Not
You know,
many pickup games.
well, I was just thinking about that. You don't
Yeah.
go to a football game up here on Friday night and see a cup baseball game break out behind the stands. It just don't happen anymore. They don't know how to do that. You know, you might see a fight or something break out, or
Well, they used to know how to do that too back in the day.
Well, or you see 1,000 young kids on their phones taking selfies, and that's all they know how to do. They don't go out and have fun and create their own games.
Well, we got to help them, and there's a lot of good, and there's so many good young people that need to just take charge of our country, and instead of my grandson having a bunch of debt.
Yeah. Because I mean, your grandson and my daughter go to the same, preschool class. They're going to be growing up together. Their future is all dependent on what we do.
But there's a lot of
moving
good,
forward.
and
It comes full circle, though.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I want the little ones to have a chance.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, eventually everyone ends up wearing flared jeans at some point in their life, right? So I'm hoping it does
Speak for
come
yourself.
back. Yeah, I bet you wore flared jeans at one point, Billy.
No.
Oh,
Hey.
I bet you did.
Hey, we're all so fortunate to have small children growing up in Franklin County. This is a great place.
It is.
Best
It
place to
really
bring
is.
them up.
It is. And that's a lot of the reason we started this show is I want a future for my kids. I want a future for their friends. I want them to have something to hold on to, something to believe in, something to strive for. That's why I like having Abe on here. I like him reminding this younger generation and keeping the names of the Billy Wagners and the Eric Owens of the world and the Chris Warrens here. For me to be here to keep Nicholas and Terrell's name going. Like, these kids need to have somebody to strive to be like and to understand that life is about struggle, but life is about it's about that feeling at the end of the day. It's about that.
We got to get back to
accomplishment.
that feeling.
About being accomplished, not just being miserable or depressed because you can get enough likes on social media, or miserable, depressed because you get to play a video game today. We want that euphoria you get from just life.
Yep.
And sports and fun and living and enjoying it, and we can get back to that. And I think I think we're at a time right now where people are yearning for structure. People are yearning for discipline. People are yearning.
Well, we've got to
strong.
allow the people that are instructing our kids to be able to discipline and teach them those life lessons. It's something I just thought of. I mean, I could think of several people that played for Abe that are now educators that are still coaching.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the coach at Franklin County coached under Abe and at Ferrum. He came from Roanoke.
And for every Billy Wagner you have out there, that is a great story.
Right.
That is a great story for somebody who come from what should have been a statistic and ended up making millions of dollars and being an all-star. For every one of those guys, though, Abe probably had 20 other guys who could have been statistics as well.
Oh, yeah.
And they ended up going and being good men in life.
But
they ended up being teachers.
We had so many players that became as good a baseball player as they possibly could be. But they became better men.
And that's what's important.
And well-rounded, and it's going to help them for the next 40. And I love them to death. And it's just like my children. I love my children. I don't always love what they do. And that's what I talked to them about this weekend. I said, I love my players, but I didn't love all the things y'all did. But they were still ours. I still stood up for them and care about them, and I care about them to this day. And that's what Ferrum was good to those young men I saw this past weekend, and Ferrum was good to a lot of people.
Well, and those guys would say the same thing. It was good to us, and they would probably say in the last couple of years, we don't like where Ferrum's been, but we'd like to get it back to where we all would want to see it.
Yeah. And that's very possible.
And it can happen, but they have to be involved. Everybody has to be involved with it to get it back there. You can't just let it fall on the shoulders of this new president or one or two people.
Oh, no.
It's going to take the whole community.
Yeah, to be able to just, like I said, you don't have to want to send your kids to Ferrum. You don't want to have to go to Ferrum, anything like. But just go up there on a Saturday once a year and go to a football game. Let your kids have that. The stresses of having to go up to Blacksburg and watching a game, and you go up to Ferrum, you can have a good time. You can root, have a blast, get your hot dog. Just support them. Support them. Go up there once a year. Go to a high school game. Support those kids. Look, I don't like going up there either. I really don't. I don't like going back to the high school and watching games for a multitude of different.
On a Friday night,
just for a multitude of different
lights.
reasons. I just don't. I don't know. It's for whatever reason. I'm not particular about making it a goal to do it, but I still like to go up there at least once a year and at least support. If everybody would just do that, if everybody would support, if everybody listens to the show just once a month, throw us a donation once every 5 people. If everybody just took a little bit and put it towards something else just once a week, once a month, you'd see a great difference in this community. You see a great difference in the children and the parents. You'd see a great difference in the enthusiasm and the ability for them to show.
Engage.
You got to pick
support.
each other up, engaging and pick each
Engage
other
and
up.
support.
Engagement, yes, absolutely. So, look, I know we kept y'all on here so long, and we could keep going on forever and ever. Abe, I love your stories. We're gonna have to do it again, absolutely, here in probably about 5 or 6 months when the fall time comes back around. So I want everybody out there to just be on the lookout for that. We're gonna do hopefully a big event where we get these ball players back into Rocky Mount on Saturday evening and do a big show. We can listen to all of them talk, hear all their stories.
They got great stories.
Yeah, hear how Abe's affected them, hear how coming here affected them. Like I said, we have a couple opportunities, but be on the lookout for that this fall. That's going to be one of the big events we have coming up. Once again, before we get off here, next week's big event, Spike Cohen. Please come out there Tuesday night, show up, call your friends, come get Buddy's Barbecue, hang out, ask questions. It'll be a really good time to try and, we're going to be talking about ways we can better our community again, just on a different front. So please do that. Please, subscribe at patreon.com/getontap. Or
Yeah, come and enjoy the evening. I think the Spike Cohen thing is something that is, we're setting we're setting a new bar here. This is something new, I think, to Rocky Mount, and I'd love for people to engage and come down and see what this dude's got to say, because he's a fascinating guy from all accounts.
yes, and very intelligent, and just make him have a good time. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to show up, and I want people to beat us. Make him want to come back here and hang out. Just, for the same reason Billy and Eric and him decided to come play ball here, or Chris Warren, is for the same reason I want Spike to want to come back here every single year and hang out, or some of them other guys. Just get some notoriety to this area. Let's do what we can while we're here.
Let's build
to make
some-
people want to show up and spend money.
Let's build some
make
momentum.
people want to come here. Make people want to send their children here to go to
Yeah.
college. Like, we have a golden opportunity. So for all that, please show up next week. It'll be a good time. Like I said, I will ask Josh not to play too many terrible songs. Hopefully, Kyle will take the lead.
Poor Josh.
We don't. No, not poor Josh. Not
Come
poor
on,
Josh.
man.
No, look,
Poor Josh.
Look, I have put his music into the ears of more people than he could ever imagine doing himself by allowing his garbage music to bring in my shows and close it every single week. And why do I let that happen? Because I don't have the money to pay for anybody else. So come
You're
here,
such a pauper.
come here and listen. Then play some music, eat some Buddy's Barbecue, and go to the event. We're going to have a good time for it. I hope and Carter is going to show up. Hey, I hope y'all can show up. If you can't, I understand it. But bring a friend, bring a family member, get some barbecue, listen, and this will be the first of many. And this will be something that's going to propel us to our next event that we know of, which will be with Abe and the ball players. And who knows what we might do in between now and then. So just, keep on the look. Got a lot of great shows coming up here in the future. We got the guys from Floyd Fest, we're talking to them. We got some big country music singers out of Nashville on the horizon, some other Appalachian roots inspired singers. We've got authors, we've got filmmakers, a lot of fun people coming up here in the future. So, for Simon, Abe, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Carter,
Appreciate
once
it.
again,
Thank
thank
you,
you for
gentlemen.
being
Thank you.
our resident
Nice to
sports
meet you.
guy.
It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to meet you, I've got to say.
And I guess our next show, unless we do something between now and then,
I think
will be
there's going to
Spike.
be a rant fest coming. I can feel one.
Well, Spike's going to be next Wednesday. We need to have something to release on Wednesday, and then so we'll figure that out. We'll let y'all know about it. But a rant fest is coming. down
I've
the
got
pipe.
one. There's one brewing.
So be on the lookout for that one. So everybody, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you